it hasn't caught up yet. So
No, it's on there.
It says it's live, so
we're in the buffer.
We'll give it just a second to show up so that we know we really are live, so I don't start talking with this beautiful voice of mine and then nobody can hear it.
If it blows up, we know it did not go well. If it does not blow up, it means it's fine.
We're live.
My color doesn't really look great on that monitor over there. I'm really more natural than this, but all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night 3D printing channel hangout. I know there's too many letters in this name, but we have a pretty good crowd. The chat has already been rolling, which is great. It's my fault that we are this late. For whatever reason, my laptop decided that it was going to take a small vacation just as we were going to come on live. And then when it came back, I had no audio. I could talk to you guys, but I couldn't hear anybody, and that wasn't good. So without further ado, I guess we will let you know. Well, I'll let you know first and foremost, I'm fighting a migraine headache right now, and these bright lights aren't helping, so I might be a little laggy tonight. But otherwise, we're here to talk about some filament, mainly the price versus the quality, the performance of the cheap stuff, I guess, and then we can move up into the more expensive stuff. And if there's time, maybe talk about a little bit of printer maintenance, because I think that's important. So we'll start the intros, and I'm going to go from my left to right, which makes Joe Mike first, and he's not paying attention. So that's the most fun.
I am too paying attention. I just knee deep in chemicals. Hi. So my name is Joe Mike Terranella. I have a YouTube channel, Joe Mike Terranella. I also have Twitters. I'm Mojike on Twitter, and also 3DKCMO is my business on Twitter. Recently, let's see what I got going. I just got a Pure Poly Moai resin printer, and that's what I'm doing right now in the garage. Is I'm like doing my maker coin right now. I'm cleaning it up, getting it ready for post processing and curing. Just put the proper wavelength crap in the bucket so it'll actually cure. And I do have one announcement real quick that I'm really excited to share. It's been about a year in the making. So about a year ago, I was the guys over with MakerBox by Nick primarily, and he wanted to partner with a YouTube channel that would do a monthly unboxing and go through the settings of each filament and kind of guide people on how to print each filament. And I'm happy to announce that after about a year of a break there due to me moving and a couple of family deaths, that we finally came to I don't know, an agreement, just not the right word. We finally decided to move forward with it. So I've got the January MakerBox right here, which will be the first video with the MakerBox, the official partnership between my channel and MakerBox. So that'll be great. And we're going to be doing contests and giveaway sponsored by MakerBox on pretty much every month's box. So you have a chance of winning a free box. If you're already a MakerBox subscriber, then you will actually be able to win a free box. So you won't have to pay for a month's worth of box if you win that. So yeah, that's what I've got going on besides filament series stuff and a couple of other things here and there. But yeah. I'm going to put these away now.
Good news.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun.
Sorry, didn't mean to drop the ball. I was reading the chat. There's so many people, and I'm trying to say hi to everybody. So anybody that I missed, hi everybody in chat. Martin, you'd be the next one in my lineup, brother.
Yeah, hi. I'm Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3DP Iceland or 3D Printing Iceland, and I'm at 3DP Iceland on Twitter as well. And I've been doing a lot of landscape prints that I print out and paint. And that has been maybe the main focus on my channel, but also trying out different filaments. I've used the MakerBox series to learn how to tune in filaments, and and recently I started doing reviews of filaments, and recently, just 1 hour ago or so, published a video on my channel with a Matter Hackers Pro Series PLA, and did the build series video 1 week ago, and have one patchy video coming up tomorrow as well. So I have lined up several reviews on filaments, and I also recently got a Prusa Mark III printer and did a video series on each step of the build process. So I have a video for each and every step of the installation and how you assemble the printer, and that has got quite good views on my channel. So that's what I've been doing lately. So that's me, 3DP Iceland.
All right, and that takes us over to Matt.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt from How I Do It. Do a little bit of 3D printing, electronics, woodworking, metalworking, basically whatever interests me, and I'd like to show you guys how I do it. Like most recently, I shot some drone footage of ice on the Susquehanna River that's stacking up as it thawed and froze and thawed again, and what that's looking like, which is, I believe, pretty popular amongst locals. My channel is kind of a mixture of sort of whatever I want to throw up. Due to some of my drone flying this past weekend, one of my upcoming videos is going to be how to repair the body of a DJI Phantom 4 because I crashed it. So it's sort of just how I do all kinds of different things. That's pretty much it.
And that takes us over to Pooch.
Hey all, I'm Pooch, also known as Repcord. I've got the Twitters at Repcord, I got the Instagrams at Repcord, I got the YouTubes at Repcord, and I got a little line of product called Repcord. So happy to be here, excited to talk about some filament.
Well, that was short and sweet, and that brings us over to
Working
John.
on brevity. Working on brevity these days.
Hi everyone, this is
Brevity and levity.
This is how you do it. I do a lot of things. I do DIY. You can see that on my YouTube channel. I take photos. You can see that on my Instagram, and I communicate with all y'all on Twitter. So you can find me at u.do.it on Instagram, u_do_it on Twitter, and you do it. It's UDOIT2 on YouTube. That's my channel name, or how you get to me. I had a huge project this last month and a half, and I was building a coffee table for a film production company that they wanted to double as have two uses. One was as an office piece for their main office area, but then also as a centerpiece for a pilot that they're shooting. It's going to be a futuristic kids show, and I posted a link to that. If you scroll up in the live chat, there's a link to the Instagram, the photo of it. I have a video here I'll show you in a moment on my phone. The unique thing about this table was that it combines a couple of technologies. I use CNC to cut out their logo using an engraving method on acrylic that I first painted with flat black. Then I used 3D printed parts for either accents or actual structure pieces to hold it together, or hide, like for instance a miter joint where I had two pieces of MDF joined. I created a little piece in Fusion 360. A lot of the members here in the channel right now have watched me at some point create something for this table over the last month and a half. And then it has several LEDs in it, so I'll play a little video. Hopefully this will show up on the on the screen without too much reflection. But it's that's the table that I created, and it turned out
Nice.
Yeah, thanks. It turned out well. What I really liked a lot was their reaction to it, and they filmed the whole thing of us bringing it upstairs and unpacking it and setting it up, and then I did a little introduction to it. So this has a lot of 3D printed elements in it. That's why I'm bringing it up tonight, and it's the kind of stuff I make to try to I don't know, I just go over the top with stuff, over engineer, whatever.
That's the kind of stuff you're supposed to bring up, because that's awesome.
No, thank you. Yeah,
3D printing related or not, that's just awesome.
Yeah, thanks. So, and you know, along the topic of tonight, I'll mention some of these filaments, but I've been buying a ton of filament lately, and I got a lot of the Matter Hackers build stuff since that was announced with you know, it's economical. I printed some pieces with it. That was the RC car parts, so I'll get into that a little bit later. But I'll yield the floor now. Thank you.
All right, and that brings us now to the amazing Vicky, who for whatever reason, we have not been in a stream in a long time together.
Not for a while.
It's like you invited me into this, and then you ran away and left me here by myself. So,
Yeah, sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Vicky Somma. My YouTube channel is Tgaw3D. It's been a little sparsely updated, just like my attendance with the live streams. But I did record a video this week. It was completely out of focus, but I re-recorded to today. So hopefully I'll get that edited and out early next week. Right now, I am preparing for the Maker Faire Nova, which is going to be on March 18th, 2018 at George Mason University. This will be my 4th year presenting. My theme this year is upcycling with 3D printing. So my mom and my husband have been dealing with a lot of things that they think are trash, but it's actually my brainstorming. So I'm working on projects for empty Tic Tac containers and old filament spools and the K-cups for coffee and old wine corks and soda cans and yada, yada, yada. And then, like Joe Mike, I have some news that I don't think I've said on the stream yet, and it's been a long time making, but in late December, I got a book published, and I actually have a copy of it. So yeah, it's a book. It's real. And that's my name right there. So that's what's been taking up a lot of my time. And, you know, I was waking up at 5:30 every day to work on it. And sometimes it wasn't appealing to do late night streams before waking up on so early on a Saturday. But yeah, it's good to be back. And hi, everybody.
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited for the book, and I thank you for my copy. It's much appreciated.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And well, I guess that just leaves us. So everybody, if you don't know, I am Glenn. And together we are Fun King 3D. We are a father and son 3D printing and electronic projects team. I apparently am number 2. I have to say, this was if you haven't watched this Xander's Thing Thursday yet, this was the funnest one we did. And we could have carried on for probably a good half hour or hour with poop jokes. But my wife was spinning out of control, so we toned it down a little bit.
Don't watch that after this live stream.
But we are Fun King 3D pretty much everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gab AI, a whole bunch of places. If you want to reach out to us, Twitter is the best place to get me. I hate Facebook. If you send us a message on Facebook, it's probably going to get delayed. And all right, I'll fix that in a second. Xander and I are actually preparing for Gainesville Maker Faire on February 24th. It will be the first Maker Faire that we have ever exhibited in. We are doing it as a collaboration with the Happy Extruder, Ron the Happy Extruder, and also a Skewed 3D. I'm sorry. Again, I'm fighting a migraine, so I'm a little bit loopy tonight. A Skewed 3D is going to be there as well, so that's pretty exciting. That's 3 of us from the local area that will be exhibiting.
Wait, local.
Well, Gainesville's not really local for anybody.
It's an hour away.
Yeah, but they're from Tampa, so.
Oh.
So then, anyway, I think that's the main thing that's going on right now. Otherwise, you know, we're just pushing on with our videos and trying to get our view counts up. A huge thank you to all of you guys out there that are running our videos in the background. I've been doing the same for some of our guys, but yeah, it helps. It helps a lot to get our hours up. So.
The Nightbot is out again.
Excellent. I will check into that. But that's it for us. So let's get on to talking about some filament, and as everybody starts to talk, I'll try to fix Xander's microphone so he can be whatever he is. So does anybody want to go first? I take that as a no.
Real quick, can you mod Vicky in the chat?
In my chat?
Yeah, YouTube chat.
She's got to say something. I don't see her in here. Oh, here.
Yeah.
You got it.
I just opened up.
I have a headache, so I get to use that as an excuse. All right, she should be modded.
I just opened up January's MakerBox. I think anyone who's a MakerBox subscriber is going to be really happy with this month's.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty cool. There's some filaments in there that I've been wanting to try.
A lot of practical printing materials in the
Listen. I just got my MakerBox today. I haven't opened it because I open it on stream every month. Do not spoil that.
So
I'm not.
I will have to
not
punch you down and kill you.
I'm not saying anything more than that.
Believe me, when the videos start pouring out from this whole MakerBox deal, the first thing I'm going to say is, if you're one of those people who enjoy the surprise of MakerBox and you haven't gotten yours yet, turn this video off and watch it when you get your box. Because yeah, I'm the same way. I like to be surprised at what's in the box. So, but you're going to like what's in the box, Glenn.
Yeah,
What's in the box?
I have a 2-month subscription, so I have to wait 2 months to be surprised in what's in the box. So I can't use what's in YouTube videos for 2 months.
You guys weren't supposed to let dead air happen. I was.
Yeah, I can start talking a little bit. So I have. I got some of the RC parts printed. This is done with the build series, Matter Hackers build series. This is their light blue PLA. So the details, I don't know how much you can see the details, but it came out really well. I mean, it's very nice. I don't see a lot of lines or anything. I tried some cheaper filament, and you could see some lines, and it was probably because of the maybe the filament wasn't exactly PLA and could have been a mixture of something else. But this I'm happy with. I also bought a Nylon X, and Joe Mike gave me a lot of tips on how to handle that and what to read on Matter Hacker's site. So I think I'm gonna buy one of those food dehydrators. And I'll probably have to bake the Nylon X in the oven. For my go-to filament, until I got this Matter Hackers build series, my go-to filament has been inland filament from Micro Center for doing the tie racks that I printed, that I designed and printed, and even all the parts for the coffee table that I showed you. They're all exclusively inland filament, because it's $15 for a kilogram, and that printed well also. So I was pleased with that, and it was strong.
I print with a ton of inland, and if you find it at the right time, they'll drop. Like typically the whites and the blacks, the stuff that you'd use for things you're going to paint. a lot of times they'll drop those down to $12 for a kilogram.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out on that.
Having a micro center right down the street inland has been a go-to.
So my experience has been primarily Hatchbox, a little bit of eSun, inland. I got this total pack stuff that nurses tweeted out about in December. It was like I think a Cyber Monday deal or something, and I got a bunch of that for $6. That was fine for small prints, but when I got larger, like it was lifting from the plate, but you know, it's $7. It's like, okay, but you know, barely get a Happy Meal from McDonald's for that, so didn't mind wasting that money. Then I got the filament I really liked was the Purple Haze, and you know who makes that. That's an eye turner a head turner when I show people that piece that I printed. People just love.
Who makes that filament, by the way? Just curious.
Yeah, I think it's Puccinelli.
Wow.
So,
Some like ripcord, rip.
It is a stunning color.
I can't remember.
So, and I can't adjust my video settings real quick. How do I adjust my video settings? I clicked on it and it says I don't have the option to do it because I'm not hosting. So,
do you have auto exposure set up on your camera?
I don't know. Maybe I do. I don't think I can.
You'll have to. What camera are you using?
Oh, a 922C.
Okay, so you're going to want to get your Logitech tools and adjust it in there. That's how I have to do it on mine.
Can I do it while I'm streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can adjust. Okay. I can adjust mine while I'm midstream. Okay. Like if I want to, I can really just overexpose the crap out of myself just like this. I can also screw my white balance up.
Okay, cool. All right, and that's all I'm talking about now. I'll chime in if I think of something else.
I'll bring up another brand. So the one that I've been playing with lately, besides the build series for Matter Hackers and Inland, a lot of Zyltech or ZYL Tech. They sent me a really nice care package for the filament series, which I really want to get that video out because I think that filament's a good filament to get more truth and knowledge out there about it. But the one that I printed with a lot is the silvers. So a while back I started posting pictures of like Joel bots and other things I printed out of silver, and it was out of that Zyltech filament. And I was incredibly impressed at the price point that it sits at, the print quality that you get. It's got the same tolerance that you would find on most of the other ones, you know, your plus or minus 0.05. But it is really consistent filament, and they have PETG, ABS, PLA, and they even have a carbon fiber fill and a wood fill. So, and it's all really affordable stuff too, and you can get it off Amazon, eBay, a couple different places. Other than that, Hatchbox, I think Ron mentioned in the chat that Hatchbox is what he started with, and I can echo that. Hatchbox is what I started with. I bought my 3D printer, my first one, off of Amazon. And you know, Amazon always gives you when people bought this, they also bought this. And Hatchbox happened to be that, you know, add-on item that a lot of people bought along with that printer. So I started looking at the reviews and stuff. I was like, yeah, that'd be a good one to give it a shot. And since then, I've been a pretty big Hatchbox believer. Especially like Hatchbox PLA is nice, consistent, love it, except for their green, but I can talk about that later. And the wood fill, the Hatchbox wood fill is absolutely fantastic. Their wood fill is one of my favorite wood fills.
Yeah, I can echo the same thing as far as Hatchbox and getting started. That was same deal for me. The first thing I went on when I got my printer, the day I ordered it, went on Amazon, started looking at filaments, and Hatchbox was one of the first ones I saw. It was a decent price, not knowing what I was getting into yet. So that's what I started with. And for almost the first year, that's pretty much all I bought was Hatchbox. I didn't even look at other brands. And then I started to get involved with, Protopasta, went down to Printed Solid and played with some color fab that we bought down there. And that's what really started opening up the variety of filaments that I've used since then. The only Hatchbox that I'd complain about is the translucent black ABS. That stuff, I've got 2 separate rolls ordered almost a year apart. One, unfortunately, I ordered it accidentally, and they both print like crap.
Well, it's a little known secret that Hatchbox yellow is actually Fun King yellow.
I saw that.
Wait, really?
Yes,
Hatchbox blue is actually JMT blue.
Hatchbox came to us and they said, we want to make a yellow. What shade should we make it? And I'm like, totally Fun King yellow. And there it is. Okay, maybe that happened the other way around. I can't remember. It's the headache.
You guys should make a funking yellow color, man. At least, come on.
I want Protopasta to do it, but I've thrown it out there, but nobody's picking it up and running with it yet. I guess we have to have more subscribers first.
Protopasta won't make a filament for me until I'm dead, so I've got maybe a ways.
Yeah, but they said it would be chunky.
I don't care if it's chunky. I'm a little chunky.
Chunky filament? What does that mean exactly?
They said that
Pooch hasn't been here for all that.
Yeah, they said they made a filament out of ashes from a tree that was burned, and it turned out to be, I forget the way they said it, but chunky was one of the things. It was gritty, chunky, and something else. And I'm like, well, Joe likes all those things.
Those are not positive adjectives for marketing generally.
The ongoing joke though was that the ongoing joke though was that when I die, I want to be cremated and my ashes incorporated into a Protopasta filament and call it JMT gray.
That's vile. Print your own urn out of it and then put your ashes in there as well.
Very, very limited run.
Yeah. Or it's just going to be spread really thin, just depends on the concentration. That's a bit morbid, but you guys bring up an interesting point about, we like to talk about brands that everybody likes, but I got to tell you, even the best of brands of a lot of the ones I've tried, you can't disregard how much color and dyes that are used in certain mixtures oftentimes can make a difference in, what would otherwise be considered a great filament. Hatchbox. I've done a lot of Hatchbox too. Had a lot of good luck with it too. But the green, just stringer. Like sometimes you'll come across stuff that's brittle, and I would say the average person doesn't order enough of it on a regular basis to get a sense of the quality over time. It's unfortunate because like I said, even the best of manufacturers will have terrible batches sometimes, and it's really a case where looking at a place like an Amazon where you actually have reviews where you can actually see over a period of time like age of general reliability. Where it gets a little messy is if you notice like Amazon will lump in a lot of people, or it depends on the listing and how big the seller is, but they'll put all their colors together under the same listing a lot of the times, which will also gang the reviews together. And so that can be a good and a bad thing, but somewhat misleading because you lose the context of like, the formulation on the green isn't quite dialed just right. But when it's mixed in with a bunch of other, 5-star reviews from their black and their, the other stuff that everybody uses all the time, it's truly an average of all of their filaments when it's listed that way.
Yeah, I don't like the way that Amazon handles that. That's been one of my biggest pet peeves with Amazon's when you have the multiple products on a single page and all the reviews are on that page. Because you're exactly right. With Hatchbox green. In fact, that's exactly why I mentioned the Hatchbox green, because I was trying to print D&D minifigs with it, and it was just so stringy that it was unprintable at that scale. No matter what I did to my retraction or my hot in temp, it was just too stringy, and I got frustrated with it. And it had great reviews on Amazon because it was lumped in with the same colors, black. Yeah, you know, and then I've had good luck with the Hatchbox in the past, so I figured their green would be fine. But like you said, the dye in that it changes the material characteristic of it just enough to where it's stringy.
Yeah, it really does, and that's not unique to Hatchbox either. I mean, I've seen it. I've had problems with my own stuff as a result of it, and it's led me away from certain colors as a result. So, you know.
But I have had better luck with your green than I have with pretty much any other green, which I think I told you that your green prints very well.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, it's all formulation. It's all stuff that contributes. You know, and there's all kinds of variables that go into determining the quality. And it's unfortunate that, you know, I have a decent amount of understanding. It would be really neat to have like an Alex from Protoposter or a Mike from Atomic or somebody that's like actually like really hands-on with the formulation that can give some more details around what goes into it. But a lot to blow a batch of stuff, and a lot of times it's the pre, you know, the work that goes in ahead of time, the drying and the processing that happens before they actually extrude and all sorts of other stuff. So you know, I think you really need to look when you're trying to judge the quality of a brand, though. Like you got to try to look at it on a per basis, and you need to look at it over time. You know, I'm always leery when I see a new brand show up. You know, there's just not enough. I think anybody can crank out a good batch, you know, at one time. It's a question of the, you know, a year from now, is the tolerance going to be as good as it was? There was a time that I would say, you know, a company like Maker Geeks, you know, like was pretty. I mean, I've had great results from a lot of their stuff, and they saw some quality suffer, and you know, maybe it's coming back. I don't know. I think that that's something that every manufacturer struggles with as they're scaling, and you know, unfortunately, the community at large isn't necessarily tolerant of that. We just, you know, see snapshots in time, and it goes into it obviously in that customer service and other pieces, but it is interesting.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that, Pooch, like what we see in the community, you kind of see everybody go in a direction. Now, like we've all got our standards that we use. Like I like Inland. I think it might be Dustin the Japman, like absolutely hates Inland. He's basically sworn off Inland. I think it's Dustin.
Sounds like Dustin.
Personally, I love Inland. I haven't had any problems with it. And I've bought their nylon, their ABS, their PLA, their TPU, TPE. Had no problems with any of what I purchased. But I think what's most important too is, like in the past, I had, it was Melt Ink. Bought a roll about 3/4 of the way into the spool. My filament size dropped, and it was like almost the entire rest of the spool had dropped down to 1.5.
Oh, 1.5. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was like a huge change. It was close to 1.5. It might have been like 1.61, 1.60, down to 1.5, I think was the range that I was seeing. I contacted them through Twitter, and I had used up 3/4 of the spool. They asked me to weigh it so that they could send a shipping box with a shipping label to return what was left. And they sent me an entire spool plus 4 or 5 really decent sized samples. I mean, talking probably almost 300 gram samples. That they threw those in the box with the new one, and that was it. They sent me a new box, and that roll was perfect. Actually, that was almost a year ago that all happened, and I just used up the last of that spool just the other day. I think how the company reacts to it is a big thing too. Just if they're willing to make things right, which, you know, Melt Ink's not a high price filament. I'd say it's a medium grade as far as price goes. It's a medium filament compared to most of them. I think they're like $25 to $30 a roll. So they're not super high, they're not super low, but they customer service, they reacted to it and they corrected the problem. If you have a company that's like Zealtech, I know that's getting to be a really popular, cheap filament, and I've been kind of curious to try it out myself. I don't know if I'd have the confidence that they necessarily stick behind a bad roll like somebody else would. Now, I'm not saying that with any experience. Again, I haven't printed theirs yet. But, you know, it's kind of like the computer market. You used to pay a lot for a computer. You got really good tech support like Dell. Used to get great tech support from Dell. And as the market has driven the prices down, which we're seeing with filament, you also saw the support drop with Dell, and it went to foreign support unless you paid extra to get U.S. support, that type of deal. We'll see the same thing with filaments, I'm sure.
And I mean, that's it's nothing new to filament. I mean, that's a challenge with scaling in general. You know, it's like people see success I think what's I don't want to say it's dangerous, but you're going to see that happening a lot with filament, because if you notice, as the price is going down, that means margins are getting smaller, and so they're going to be you're going to be looking for places to save, and so you know that's where formulations get changed, batch, and like in the this case, like that doesn't work well, because like the formulation is very important to consistency, and when people have had success with something, they want to believe that the color that they got and the quality that they got 6 months ago. Sometimes it depends on how much you're printing, but sometimes it takes you months to go through a spool, and you want to feel like if I reorder the same stuff, I want to expect the same results, and that's a danger. And so with bigger companies, hopefully they can absorb a little bit more of that they're going to have to give up their margin or increase volume and stuff to try to make up for it. And I mean, I think it's just going to be the nature of the beast too, that it's a growth industry, and so what you might have commanded a premium before is going to be a little bit tighter in the future, just as more people are getting into it. There's just not going to be as much money to be made in filament.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say the scaling up effect also affects a lot of other aspects of the overall experience. I mean, you could take the MakerGeek example, where they were a small company. The customer service was on point. In fact, I mean, I was able to email the guy who started the whole thing, Joshua, back and forth. And, it was a great experience, great filament. They got more popular. They had to start scaling up, and then orders started not shipping. People's emails started not getting responded to. Their filament quality went down for a while, and it just was they kind of shot themselves in the foot during that scaling, because they didn't have a plan in place to properly scale to keep up with demand. I don't think they expected to go that big that fast, but right. they did suffer.
Right. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's tough because the public at large is not empathetic or sympathetic to this, and a lot of times the assumption too, I get stuff all the time, I'm a one-man shop, but like you get approached a lot of times like you're this giant company and that you should know better, and all this stuff, and I'm doing the best I can to respond to every email I get and all that stuff. So it's nice when you get people in the community that kind of understand the scale of things, but obviously a lot of times people, when they're buying stuff off Amazon, like half the people don't even realize that you're not even dealing with Amazon. Like Amazon is the intermediary, and I think a lot of people aren't familiar with that. It surprises me how many people still aren't familiar with that system.
Yeah, the main problem I have when ordering filaments that it's difficult to get it shipped to Iceland, and when the stores ship to Iceland, maybe I find a $20 spool of PLA, but it costs $50 to send it to Iceland. So it's very difficult to try out cheaper filaments if you want to just order one spool or something. It makes no sense in regard of shipping, and it's very common that I found on Amazon some resellers that just don't ship to Iceland, and that's a problem that I'm finding. And the bigger manufacturers that have more expensive filaments, they tend to have more shipping options, and if I can buy maybe 5 rolls of filament, the shipping is okay, but buying 1 or 2 rolls makes no sense for me because of shipping cost is maybe half the price or double the price of the filament. So that's one thing I have to take into account.
Yeah, and as a small provider and stuff too, a lot of the stuff I sponsor, I get asked like, oh, why don't you ship overseas? Like it's just not economical not having distribution set up overseas, because it's not an efficient thing. It's bulky, it's heavy, and the material itself isn't expensive, but the nature by which it's packaged and how big it is doesn't make it practical to move in non-bulk quantities often. So it depends. There's a sweet spot. That's part of the reason too that I do some of those I do a lot of those 250-gram spool packs too, so that you get a little bit more variety. And I actually have some shipping options that, like, those things can fit inside of a priority mail envelope and stuff like that make it a little bit more practical to move around the country at an affordable price for me. It'd be interesting to see in the future. I'm a little bit skeptical, like that the spool of filament is the ideal mode of delivery. It's inefficient. I'd be curious to see if a solution comes up down the road, the way like the Part Daddy works, where you're actually dealing with resin pellets, where you get much more density and you can pack and more efficiently for a not necessarily weight, but a cubic volume of material transport. And I realize that has its own things if you're trying to do an extrusion and all a print all at the same time. But I don't know.
Joe Mike, what do you think of Pooch's packaging and his spool sizes?
I hate you.
Sorry, I
Yeah, you can't be interrupting Joe Mike. He's making a fresh batch of meth there in his Breaking Bad lab.
Joe Mike, why don't you have a mic inside the respirator, dude?
Because then I'll sound like Bane.
Stick one of the air pumps.
You should make it sound like Kylo Ren when you speak.
Is I am not nearly as cool as Adam Driver, so that's not even going to work. Filament spool.
The thing is, Adam Driver wasn't nearly as cool as Adam Driver until they put that crazy effect on his voice, I think.
Back, Adam Driver is awesome.
Debatable.
I think Pooch's the ripcord.
Not a good
ripcord sizes. I think because the one that I got from you was the smaller spools that came in the 4-pack.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were, those little guys.
Yeah, 250.
I thought that the spool size was fine. In fact, I really like it for my Monoprice Select Mini. I mean, that little spool on the side of that thing is just cute. That's the only word I can really think to describe it, but it's cute. Good amount of filament and a good price. So I am the one who prints.
I'm almost ashamed to admit that I haven't tried Pooch's filaments yet.
What?
Hit me up after the show, man. We'll make it happen.
Purple haze.
I may be the only one that hasn't, but
I was just looking. He doesn't ship to Iceland, so
well, maybe he could send it to me, and I'll throw it in the box when I send the box to you. So
there's always exceptions, Martin. We can find a way.
But I want to mention it. I'm going to call it my go-to, and that's the AIO Robotics filaments. And this is actually it was a kilo roll. But typically they come in half-kilo rolls, which is nice. It's not the cheapest filament because it's $13 for a half a kilo, but it just gives you an option to have a lot of colors. And if you catch their 12 pack on sale. It's usually like $100 now, but sometimes it's on sale for $88 for 12 half kilo rolls. So you can have a pretty good variety of colors. And I've had people, you know, come back to me and say, well, it's brittle. And I'll admit that, yeah, it's probably more brittle than I'd want it to be, but I just don't have problems with it. I print with it so much. In fact, this lovely trophy that my son decided to give me, the base of this is all AIO white. The top of this was extruded out of inland brown. It was lovely extruded. It's nice and smooth, but I mean, and I know you can't really see. I'll have to get some good high res photos of it. But the AIO robotics just works for me as far as PLA goes. So and they've been good to me. You know, I'm not going to hide that fact. I mean, they gave me a 12 pack to give away for my 250 giveaway, and then immediately gave me another 12 pack to give away for the 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So they've treated me well, but that's not why I like it. I liked it even before then. So but nobody had mentioned that yet. So I wanted to definitely bring them up. Now, of course, Maker Geeks got brought up, and it just so happens that the E12, I've been having just a massive amount of trouble tuning that printer in. And I had a roll of Maker Geeks on it, and I could not get one of these little Makeys. I don't know if you guys can see that. I could not get one of these little Makeys to print out on that thing without trouble. And I finally said, all right, well, I'm going to switch filaments, went to AIO Robotics, and that's a perfect Makey. So that just sums up how I truly feel about Maker Geeks, because I've got 4 spools of it, and it will likely end up in the bin. So I just
can I?
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead. I've got a really cool story with one of those Makeys, actually, because I recently just cleaned out the garage to make space for my new like workbench and the area here for the Moai and all the stuff that goes along with it. And while I was cleaning it out, I found this little guy, which is a Makey, but he's super, super tiny, right? And I was sitting there scratching my head, and I was like, when the crap did I ever print one of those, let alone print one in orange and that small? And then I remembered, holy crap, I got this from Micro Center like 3 or 4 years ago when they got their first 3D printer in the store, and they were handing these out as little samples of 3D printing. So this was the first ever 3D print I ever had my hands on. And who would have thunk back then that I would be where I am now?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I printed a whole
Holy
bunch
crap.
of those to take to the Gainesville Maker Fair to give out.
More.
It's a relatively fast little model to print, and it I mean, it shows doming. You know, you got the doming of the head, and you got the overhangs of the armpits, and you know, so it's got the detail. It says Makey on the back. I know you guys can't see that. Here, let me hold it up. You can't see it, but it actually says Makey across his back. So it's a good model. It's a really good model for showing what 3D printing does. So, but yeah, I have a couple of them.
I'm surprised you didn't print those in yellow, Glenn.
I like to keep my yellow for more important things, like parts for my ANET A8.
There you go.
Yeah, I posted a link just a few minutes ago in the chat about a video that was providing a solution on filament delivery and having manufacturers standardize on spool size and only ship a roll of filament that is without the spool, just bundled up with zip ties. And then you could use your own spool that you would screw together. So that would save on plastics, because if a 1 kilo spool has a 300 gram of just spool plastic, it's 1.3 kilos. So if you could make the filament like in a standard way of shipping it, you could use your own spools. And this guy did a video on that idea, and I just posted the link. Well,
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. I mean, not only because it cuts down on the weight for shipping, but it cuts down on the amount of waste. There's just, I mean, I know a lot of people have come up with creative ways, you know, to turn the spool into storage boxes, and you can put Christmas lights on them. But I mean, seriously, at what point are we going to finally go, there's just nothing else to do with these empty spools, and then they end up in the trash, and that's not good. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, Martin. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I just got asked that by Matt's, and maybe that's what prompted Martin too. But Matt's Maker World just asked me about the master spool standard that Rich Rapp's been talking about, and I gotta say that's dealing with this. I can nerd out on spools with you guys all night, but I'm super excited because I'll tell you, I'm small potatoes, but the spools that I love these clear ABS spools that I use, and they cost almost $1 a piece. They're like 90 cents when I buy them in bulk. And like that's from overseas. That's not including what it costs to freight a whole bunch of them here. But I mean, that's a significant amount of cost when you think about, you know, what a spool of filament is. And it's terrible because, you know, some people, I get asked all the time, like, hey, can I just send it back to you? But it's not even worth it. If the thing's worth $1, but it's not worth $3 to ship it to me. And you can recycle it, but it just seems like a waste, you know? And these are actually really, really nice spools. Like ABS, like clear ABS is not a common thing. I haven't been able to price it anywhere close to that domestically. I think the best price I've seen is like $3.50 in quantities of like thousands. And it's kind of silly, but I feel like a lot of the basis of the spool, it's a paradigm that we're used to. The spools have come about. We use them for weed whacker line and all kinds of other product. And so I think it was low hanging fruit when they first came with it. But if you think about the medium of doing this in general, even with, you know, the master spool concept where we have these coils. Yeah, there's your weed whacker line. I've toyed with that. I've toyed with Joe Mike, I'm sure is familiar, or anybody that's done any IT work, the cardboard for Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable where, you know, you're pulling out from the center kind of thing. And that's not just for Cat 5 or 6. There's plenty of cables and electrical stuff that's done that way.
A lot
Matt
of
knows
bulk
too.
wiring.
Yeah.
But the problem is with the material that we're dealing with too. It's one, you've got to obviously keep moisture out of it. It's more brittle, so it might work for a nylon. Doesn't work terribly great for a PLA. I think there's a lot of cool ideas out there, but what I was going to say is even this coil, it's from a packaging standpoint. I have a minor in packaging from way back in my college days. It's not anything that's round or on a spool is not an ideal means for packaging in general. You have a lot of wasted space, and even if you were to put it in, say, a tube, and it was perfectly cylindrical, when you're cartoning stuff, then you've got all the space in between, you know, the tubes.
Yeah, but
I mean, there's a reason.
That space inside the hub and around in the corners of the square box that your filament comes in is a perfect place for Haribo candies to go into. So that's, you know, packaging wise, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or in the case of battery packs, coolant, you know, or something like that. But, you know, I think there's a reason that even Tesla's getting away from stacking batteries
you know,
that way.
I was on board with the whole cardboard spool, you know, Protopasta and I forget now who is it, Filamentum? So that's picking up the...
Filamentum.
They need to come up. I mean, a cardboard spool would be great, but they need to come up without using some kind of weird chemical, but make that cardboard moisture absorbing, make that cardboard more hygroscopic than the filament, so that when you put your filament in a bag, it's that spool that's sucking up the moisture out of your filament.
The only downside,
it would save all those silica bags.
The only downside to that would be, though, if your cardboard was acting as your desiccant, now your filament's up against in constant contact with the desiccant that's absorbing moisture.
Well, they could put a coating. They could put a coating on the inside here.
That's true.
And only this side, you know, until you pull it out of the bag and it's like dripping wet, you know.
What do you suppose the reason is? And this is completely naive and spitballing because I've spent no time really thinking about it at length. But that we can't go to a resin based, like a pellet based thing, like I was saying earlier. You know, because obviously it does work. The Part Daddy does it, but that's not, you know, I don't know if that's scalable downward. Like, why did we come? It seems silly that we are taking resin, extruding it once, and then extruding it again to print our thing rather than.
I really think it comes down to tolerance.
Well,
It does.
I mean, plus the cost. I mean, you technically would have to have a. Yeah, I mean, the machine that's making the filament technically is now their hot end. So it's going to be more cost plus more bulk. That's more machinery sitting on your printer. But I really think
is that something technology can address? You know, because I'm aware there's a lot to go. I mean, when you look at an extrusion line for actually making this stuff, you know, you got your cool baths and all kinds of like stuff that's not going to scale down into a printer. But
so one of the places I work at takes raw pellets and turns them in. They actually make the caulk tubes that you buy for a caulk gun. So they go from raw pellet, comes literally off of a train car sitting outside of the building. They suck it up in a vacuum, and basically it goes up in a vacuum all the way over to the machine. I mean, you could have some kind of remote setup like that so that at the printer itself, you're sort of minimal, so to speak. Instead of having, like Glenn said, you'd have to have a hopper on top, but even still, you'd add a lot of bulk and the consistency of it. Like, look at people using like the Filistrators and stuff like that. I mean, that's what, a $500, $350, $500, something like that, home extrusion system. And people will have a really hard time keeping the consistency down enough to actually get good quality prints.
That's exactly the point that I was trying to,
in home, for us to get the consistency that, say, Protopost is getting, or, I don't know, pick the cheapest filament you can think of, to get the consistency that they're getting for us in home, I think would make it not be cost prohibitive to do it.
Yeah, so you maybe have to have a $2,000 machinery on top of your printer to make it consistent.
Well, I also think of the like the temperature requirements needed to melt down pellets versus a thin line filament to get it to come out nice.
Weight. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more mass to a pellet system. I mean, you could trickle the pellets into something and heat them as they're trickling, but then, you know, you would run into coloring issues because you'd have to have the proper amount of your pigment going in with your raw material. And I just think that the overall experience of having to deal with that would just negate, you know, any benefits that you could get.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was thinking about, so like look at the CMC Part Daddy. And I mean, obviously they've got a mini shop vac on top of the extruder that's sucking that into the hot end for the pellet system. Now, granted, the Part Daddy's got a 4mm nozzle on it versus a 0.4mm nozzle, but if you picture like the size of that, the hot end on the Part Daddy, even figure scaling that down 10% of its size is still pretty sizable. I think that's going to would be a big problem with going to a straight pellet system. It's just the size of the hardware in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the color is usually mixed when they are creating the extrusions. They blend it with the pallets, right? So the end user would have to color mix their own filaments, right?
Okay, consistency would be all kinds out of whack.
Yeah.
It makes for some artistic prints, though.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's an opportunity to be more artistic.
I almost had the opportunity, and I wish I would have snatched it a couple months ago to buy a Filistраtor because I'd like to experiment with it. Between taking pellets, buying a 10-pound bag of pellets, and melting it down and making my own filaments, to trying to recycle prints. And I know there's issues. You can only heat the plastic so many times, or the material so many times before you start to change the composition of it. But I'd still, I'd like to experiment with the whole idea. I just haven't had the funding to go ahead and actually get one. I almost bought one off eBay or off Craigslist locally a few months ago, and just kind of didn't jump fast enough. Like, I think it would be neat. I kind of more so wanted to look at it to be able to make sort of along that lines of like artistic, inconsistent filament, so to speak, as far as color or patterns of the prints.
Yeah, I think the Phil Struder and these homemade extrusion systems are kind of in the same vein as like what reloading would be to people that shoot, where you got to be passionate about the hobby and doing it for that reason, but you're not gonna really. There's not a cost savings, right. And if it were better to do it this way, I think if the technology exists and it could be done that way, like people would be doing more of it. I think it's an interesting process, and I think it does maybe allow you to some neat opportunity, but you got to be all about it. And to the average person, it's just way easier. Hey, just send me a spool of this stuff all ready to go in the mail, and I don't want to worry about my tolerances and all that stuff too.
And I think that's exactly the answer to your question about why we haven't seen a pellet-driven system. That I think you answered that perfectly right there, Pooch.
Yeah. Maybe there'll be some breakthrough tech or something. I mean, maybe it's not pellets. Who knows? The idea of resin, sounds great. It's like, okay, well, it's still a heavy medium and all that stuff too. But I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know that there's any perfect answer. I can see arguments for both sides.
So somebody should come up with a material in a like about a 1.7 millimeter diameter that comes on a spool.
I want to see the liquid metal T1000 that just kind of takes the shape of whatever it wants.
We could go really crazy and just up it to like 2.85 millimeter even, and like
what?
Then it would be really close to pellet size. I mean.
I'd like to talk about tolerance for a second, if we might, because you see that metric thrown around a lot, and I think people look at it as an indicator of quality a lot of the time. So they see that plus or minus 0.03 millimeter, and in a perfect world, you would get a spool that was every bit within the tolerance it was advertised. I've spent way more time than I would like to admit unspooling and calibrating, and then it developed other stuff, like actually tools for better doing this. And some are way better than others, but even the best fall out of tolerance. And I think what's interesting is we don't realize, because until there's a problem, there's a good amount of forgiveness in most printers. And and I'm skeptical of most people that are reporting, 0.03. 0.05 is pretty good. You see, back in the day, it was like 0.1, and most printers were fine with it. Granted, the better, the more consistent you get, the better. And we're starting to see tech now where there's optical sensors and stuff like that can actually, I don't know if you've seen, there's a fork of Marlin where you can integrate an optical sensor that will theoretically compensate the extrusion speed so that you are getting an ideal extrusion regardless of your filament diameter to a point. But, I don't know. Have you guys spent any time looking at tolerance and analyzing? I've certainly had jams on some things, but it's usually when it's too thick, not too thin.
The issue that I had said about earlier that I had with melt ink dropping down to 1.5. Honestly, the only reason I knew that is because I started all of a sudden in the middle of a print, I started getting under extrusions big time. Where I'm missing entire layers. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me what was going on at first. And I had never really honestly checked my tolerances of filament prior to that. And after a while, I realized that the whole reason I was having issues is because the extruder wasn't able to actually even grab a hold of it because of the tolerance of the extruder. That was the only one that I've ever checked. And to be honest, I haven't really checked anything else. I've not really noticed big differences. So if something I'm running is dropping from 1.75, say down to 1.65, I think my printer can handle it fine. And there may be a slight blemish in a layer, but it's not enough that I've ever really narrowed down to, oh, my filament's really changing sizes on me. I know some people measure it. My brother, I know he tends to measure almost every single roll before he loads it on the printer just to make sure it's there.
I
don't
do.
know.
That's part of my calibration process.
Yeah, one thing about the tolerances, people have been installing the Capricorn boden tubes, and they have a tighter tolerance with the filaments. So if the filament is going 0.9 or something, it will just jam in the boden tube. So it's not very good for for boden setups with having filaments getting too large. So even though the extrusion process gets a bit skewed, the boden system will clog up.
You're talking about the cap tubes?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a filament that won't go through a cap tube, then it's not necessarily a good filament, because even in the cap tubes, they leave a good amount of play in there. It's just not nearly as much play that comes with your standard PTFE tube.
Yeah, a lot of your PTFE tubes are 2 millimeter inside diameter.
And the thing about the cap tubes that people run into issue with is with retracted filament. So if you have if your PTFE tube goes all the way down to the hot end, so for example, on the E3D Lite 6, the tube goes all the way down to the hot end, and on the roast stock, the PTFE tube almost goes all the way down to the hot end. If your retraction distance is too high, it'll actually pull a little bit of, at that glass transition temperature, your filament expands just a little bit before it goes into the melt zone. And when it gets pulled up into the cap tube, that cap tube with the tight tolerance, it'll start cooling, and then all of a sudden you get a jam. So you just have to be really careful about retraction distance with those cap tubes. That's the main issue I've been
right.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not really the tolerances of the filament manufacturer; it's retraction. Okay.
It's that too, because I mean I have had a filament that I couldn't feed through a cap tube, and then I took calipers to it and found out that it was going up to 1.9 in a couple of spots, and I ended up throwing that spool out. And I'll just go ahead and say it was a Maker Geeks spool that I got a while back ago from a Maker Box, not a Maker Box, a Geek Box. It was from their Geek Box. And I just figured I haven't printed with this before. I'll give it a shot. So I fed it through, and it was going down the cap tube just fine. And then all of a sudden, I just couldn't feed it anymore into the cap tube. And I was like, what on earth is going on here? So that's when I took the micrometer to it. And yeah, it was varying crazy on that roll. And I ended up throwing out a whole roll. I think I measured at least 5 meters worth of filament on that roll just to make sure it wasn't just a fluke. And there were extrusion issues throughout the entire thing. Their tolerance was like 0.12, if not more, on that one, which is not even close.
So when you measure, you're getting a good set of calipers, because when you're trying to measure, like, what's the tolerance mean? A percentage, or it's the amount
it's
of variance?
It's a plus minus millimeter, so it's a variance. So when you take your calipers to your filament, it'll give you your reading, And if you have a good set of digital calipers, it's really easy to read decimal places.
Yep.
But if you have a set of analog calipers, they work just as well. But yeah, your filament should be within the tolerance that the manufacturer specifies, which is usually 0.05 millimeter tolerance. So your filament diameter should not vary plus or minus 0.05 millimeters in diameter. And there's even companies like Atomic Filament comes to mind that claim like 0.02 tolerance. And in all honesty, with Atomic, I've found that is the case. Atomic, I don't know what voodoo magic they're working out over there, but they really keep tight tolerances on their filament. It's good filament.
I was going to say I'm running Atomic right now on my CR10, and I've been running it through its paces, a couple different spools, just 'cause I've been talking to Mike about, or had in the past. And what's really impressive about them, and I think it's clear if you go to their website and see like how he's out of stock on a lot of stuff all the time, is because he genuinely will not release it unless it is like, but the dude is a perfectionist, and it probably makes it hard to be a businessman sometimes, but he's one of the best I've seen domestically that really pays attention to the detail of his line and his systems. And so from what I've seen, he walks the walk along with his talk, so it's nice, and I'd love to see more of it. I know his challenges right now are scaling, and he, unlike some other companies we've talked about, will not.
I was about to say that he won't say that he has filament in stock that he doesn't actually have in stock, which
exactly
like
right.
some companies we talked about.
And he won't promise delivery of anything or whatever until he's had it, and he's very methodical about rolling out his and I think it's good. I think it's a great thing. So I hope that they continue to do as well as they do. But so far I've been quite pleased with it.
Yeah, I was turned on to Atomic by Jim Carter, and he was like, dude, just give it a shot, and you're going to be blown away, because I've been using a lot of Matter Hackers Pro, which if you take calipers to it, same story, you get really tight tolerances with the Pro series. And so I tried Atomic, and I saw the tight tolerances, and I was like, this stuff is freaking legit. So,
and it's not that much more. It's 30. So you're in your 30-ish bucks per. So it's like it's $10 more per spool. It's not. Yeah. It's not protopasta. It's not the pro level stuff that you see on some other things. So I think it's reasonable for what you get.
I think when we start putting excuse me, the filaments into certain tiers, like budget filaments, your Goldilocks filaments, your higher end Pro Series filaments, I'd say like your Inlands, your Ziltex, Build Series, that's down in your budget filament. And then you pop up into like your hatch boxes, which is closer to your Goldilocks, where you still have a good price and a good quality. And then you go right above that, and you get like Atomic Filament and Matter Hackers Pro. That is like, it's still under $50, but the print quality you get from those rolls makes the additional cost over hatch box that much more worth it. I mean, the layer consistency on a roll of Atomic, printing with a roll of Atomic is just crazy. Like, you don't get the over extrusion little zits and blobs like you do with some of the more, at least unexpensive filaments, we'll put it that way. But yeah, they made a believer out of me for both of those, Atomic and the Pro Series for Matter Hackers. So.
Yeah.
And it does hold its color well.
Oh, the color, this red that I've got, Mike likes to say, like, if you were to chop up, just to, like a meter, not even that much of it, of the red that I've got, like, that'd be like the amount of pigment that's in that would be enough to make a master batch of, like, the spools that you're getting from hatch boxes and all this. I mean, he throws a lot of red in that particular spool.
Is that dark cherry red?
Yeah, it's that dark cherry red. I love it.
Yeah. I got the ABS of that. That's what I'm printing the MK3 parts out of. So when I convert my MK3 into what I'm calling the Rusa, that it's going to be the atomic cherry dark red filament. It's going to look really cool next to the Bluesa. I'm really among the other billion things that I have going on. Eventually, I'm going to get to that.
Is that the one? Are you running that in the up box? What are you doing the ABS in?
I'm doing the ABS on the MK3.
Okay. Somebody was doing some.
MK3.
I think it was Preston that was talking about. He was running the up box or something with some ABS the other day.
Well, I keep both the Pruzas, the MK2S and the MK3 are both inside of my grow tent enclosure now. They both fit in there just perfectly. So, for example, the other day I was printing grow tent. Yes.
Okay.
That's a whole nother subject. But I keep it heated, so I've got a ceramic heater in there that keeps the ambient temp around 30 to 35 degrees. So, but like the other day I was printing Nylon X on the MK2S, and I was printing ABS on the MK3. And since they all have interchangeable build plates, like you can just switch out and forth. So I was using the Geckotech plate for the Nylon X because nylon sticks to Geckotech like a fly on a turd. For anyone who's wanting to print, by the way, there you go. If you're printing Nylon X or any nylons, the Geckotech build plates are insane. The HT build stuff is insane for nylon. And then, I just used the regular PEI on the MK3 with a glue stick base to help me out there.
PEI?
Yeah, but grow tents are great, guys. I mean,
I think it means
all
PVA.
jokes aside, huh?
You mean PVA glue stick on? Well, you're talking about the build plate, and then you're putting PVA glue stick on it?
Yeah, I've got so the PEI sheets that come with the MK3. I actually put down a layer of glue stick on top of the PEI at about 110. It's a habit that I've just picked up and stuck with. So even though I can still flex the print off of the bed on the MK3, glue stick, it actually does help with adhesion with PEI and ABS, especially PETG and the build plate, any kind of PEI. Yeah, but grow tents, guys. If you're looking for a cheap or quick enclosure system, jokes aside, I sent out a tweet earlier, I think yesterday. Between my electric bill, the fact that I'm buying all of these black lights for curing resin prints, and my grow tents that I buy from Amazon, I'm afraid, I'm surprised the police aren't knocking down my door yet. But grow tents are a really good quick enclosure. That's all I have to say about that.
Sure, Mike, is your grow tent big enough for a CR10?
Yeah.
Is it?
If I wanted to put it in there, it would be the only printer that could go in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I bought such a large grow tent, was because I was originally putting the FT5 from Folgertech into it, and I ended up just not even bothering with that, and I put the Prusa in there, and then I just figured out, hey, I can put multiple printers in this thing and go to town. So I've just been using the same grow tent. It's large. It keeps good ambient heat, handles fumes well. Yeah, it's a great solution.
It handles fumes, meaning it doesn't break down from the fumes, or it keeps them contained?
It keeps them contained, but at the same time, you can kind of crack a little seal on it, and the fumes kind of leak out into the atmosphere and have a chance to dissipate. But at the same time, it's a large enough compartment to where when you open up the main compartment to check on your prints, you're not assaulted by, this small space that would have a ton of fume that would just punch you in the face. It's still a pungent smell with nylon and ABS, but it's not like you open it up and it's like boom. You open it up and you're like, oh, that smells, but it's you can deal with it.
Can you throw a link to the grow tent? Maybe not. No, don't do that. I was going to say put a link there, but then it's already bad enough we're saying grow tent 90 times in Fun King's video.
Now, in all fairness, grow tents have their place outside of, that culture. I mean, a lot of people like to grow things indoors during winter, like peppers and stuff like that. Like, who knows? Come springtime, I might throw my Thai peppers into the tent along with the printers, let them germinate, and then throw them out in the garden. I don't know.
That'll be good for moisture control.
There you go. I'm sure the Nylon X will love that.
So, coming up on the 2 hour mark, I was just kind of curious for everybody that's co-hosting tonight. Let's go with your cheapest filament that's a go-to, your most expensive filament that you've bought that you also consider a go-to, and why for those two. What do you think of that question, Glenn?
Yeah, that'll be good. Do we want to do this in any particular order? I guess we'll go first, and we'll go right to left. So, our cheap go-to filament is the AIO Robotics and the Hatchbox. Those are my two cheap go-tos. I have bought 2 rolls of Inland.
Matter Hackers is cheap?
I didn't say Matter Hackers. I said AIO and Inland.
No, you said
Did I say Matter Hackers? No.
Xander's tired.
Yeah, Xander's half asleep. I'm going to have to take your mic away so you can't talk anymore. It was better when you were the silent guy.
Yeah, okay.
He's been playing video games all afternoon, so he's tired. But
Rough life.
The crazy part is the most expensive filament that I've ever bought is either AIO or Hatchbox. I've used the more expensive filaments in that came out of the maker box and stuff, but I've never bought high-end filament.
Nope, your most expensive is the maker box.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't reached that level yet. I mean, we're not that fancy yet. It's all about just laying the cheapest plastic through there that I can. So as much as I hate to admit that, I do have a couple of rolls of good stuff that have been sitting in different shopping carts, and I'm waiting to click that button, but it's like there's just always something else that needs the money before the filament, so I end up buying just whatever's cheap. Yeah, I almost bought the Matter Hacker Brown and gave that a run, which I'm glad I didn't, because it was right before they released the new stuff, which was cheaper, but I ended up buying the $15 roll of Inland. So in fact, $14.99 with free shipping, free FedEx shipping out of Micro Center. So it was kind of hard to pass up. So
buy some Pro Series, Glenn. Try it. Just try it.
The Matter Hacker Pro Series?
Yeah. Comic filament and just try it, and I guarantee what on earth is this voodoo magic.
Yeah, but I don't have any issue with the cheap stuff. Like, I don't print this stuff and go, oh, I hate, other than Maker Geek. I hate to keep picking on them, but that is by far the only filament that I have used yet that I've hated. Well, other than the stuff too that comes with the printer, and ANET throws in that lovely little roll of whatever that garbage is. So, but I will try it. I will take that plunge one day. It's just there's a new computer that's needed, and there's a new camera that's needed, and
Well, and it's like the difference between a Honda Civic and an Audi, right? They're both cars. They're both good. You can drive your Civic around all day and go, you know what? There's no problem with the Civic. It's a good, practical car, and I really like it. It does the job. There's nothing wrong with it. But then you get your hands in an Audi, and you're like, holy crap, this is what driving is supposed to be like. It's just refined.
Where does Nissan fall in that analogy exactly?
Right behind me. That's what I have. I've got a Nissan Turbo right behind me.
Just curious.
I would say that my Nissan is probably the hatchbox of cars.
That's the hatchbox.
Hatchbox. Hatchback? Did you say hatchback?
The hatchback hatchbox.
It's not a hatch. I wish it was a hatchback.
Well, the sad part is James James from Print and Plays in the chat, and he just reminded me. He said I won some Matter Hackers Pro from some goofballs giveaway, which would have been mine. I've given away Matter Hackers. I've given away the Matter Hackers filament. I've never used it myself, so all right. I'll do it. I'll order a roll, but then I have to make a choice on what color I want to get. So I guess it'll have to be yellow.
There's no choice involved. It's yellow. You know it's like the same choice I ever have. Is do I get blue? Of course I get blue. I mean, of course you get yellow.
Which shade blue, right?
Yeah, Xander likes the blue.
Yeah.
So.
We have 2 minutes.
All right. Well, I'll pass the torch now to Vicky. You get the question.
Oh, good. I thought it was going to be last, and it was going to be so anticlimactic because I pretty much almost exclusively use ColorFab. And I was just Googling. I'm like trying to come up with a good rationalization for this. And you know how, there's some individuals like Mark Zuckerberg or President Obama, they would wear the same thing every day. It would decrease their decisions making. They can focus their brains on something else. And so maybe that's a little bit of part of it is ColorFab works really, really, really great for what I'm working on. And, that's just one less thing I have to think about. And maybe it allows me a little extra space in my brain to be more creative, maybe. Do you guys buy that? But yeah, fell in love with ColorFab, and I pretty much stick to it. Every now and then I deviate. I have like a Hatchbox brass or bronze that I use sometimes. And I use some of the exotics of ColorFab as well, the wood fill and the bronze fill and all that. I love the cork fill. That's probably my favorite. And yeah, so cheap and expensive, it would be under ColorFab.
Vicky, do you run the gamut of ColorFab as far as like they have their ST, CF, and all?
Yeah, I've done
grades.
The engine, but that's, pretty much it's mostly exclusively the PLA, PHA. Yep.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, that takes us over to John.
Well, I just picked up this. It's the Nylon X. So, Matter Hackers. Joe Mike was schooling me a little bit before we started the stream on what I have to do in preparation for that, and I'm really apprehensive to open up the package yet because I want to make sure to keep the moisture out. It sounds like I have to bake it. It's nylon, right? My filaments, I started out with Hatchbox, then tried some eSun. I have one Sane Smart. That's a blue. That seemed to work out okay. Then I jumped into Inland. That really satisfied what I needed to do. I wasn't going for exact quality. I was making a tie rack. It's not anything special. Then we go to the Printed Solid meetup like once a month. I didn't go there this month, but I was there last time. I picked up the engine, the ColorFab. I haven't opened the box yet. I got some wood fill. Haven't used it yet. But I got this puppy here that I have to put in. So that one I have to install. I even got the torque wrench. So there's a torque wrench you can buy on Amazon, and this one in the unveiling here. This is Tecton, and it's a 1.1 Newton meter to 16.9 Newton meters. So, okay. And there you go. That's about $40 or so. I picked that up on Amazon because what I read in some of the reviews of the Olsen nozzle is that you don't want to over torque it because you'll destroy the nozzle itself, or Joe Mike was saying that. What'd you say, Joe Mike? What could happen?
I was saying that with those E3D hot ends, like what comes with the MK2, MK2S, and MK3, or if you've got an E3D V6, what has happened to several people that I know, they tighten down the hot end or the nozzle on the hot end so much that it actually ends up pushing the heat break up and ripping the threading all the way up to where basically you de-thread the top of the block, and you have to you basically have to get a new block. So you got to be careful with the amount of torque you put on those things. It really, if you're doing it hot like you're supposed to, 250 degrees centigrade or above, if you're doing it hot, it really does not take a whole lot of torque to get that nice and snug, because as soon as it cools down, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, just a hair over fingertip.
I can't believe people are stripping that.
People don't understand the concept of, aluminum softer than brass or stainless or steel or whatever your heat break is. So the two things you're screwing into your heat block are going to win.
Well, I've broken a few heat breaks, but that's crazy that they're stripping the aluminum. But that's pretty aggressive.
If you think about that threading isn't too thick, and he was tightening. My buddy who did this most recently was threading a Micro Swiss A2 nozzle.
His buddy. It wasn't him.
Joe Mike entombs them in nylon X.
That's what I do. No, he was using he was installing an A2, which is the hardened steel nozzle from Micro Swiss. It's not the coated ones, it's the actual hardened steel nozzle. So it's straight steel, hardened. It's going to win over aluminum every time. And the block that I have on my MK3 is actually the copper block with the nickel plating. So I'm uber careful about how I go about tensioning the nozzle on that thing.
Yeah, so I'm glad I got the torque wrench to kind of settle my fears, because being a dumb Italian from Jersey, my strength is kind of there before my brain. So
let's not bring up the dumb Italian stereotype here, because you got 3 on this stream, man.
Then this is the total pack. This is what so this is the total pack. This was like $7. So you bought 2 together, and it was like $14 from Amazon back. I think it was Cyber Monday. Nurses tweeted that out. It was a special they were running, so I bought four of them. This filament was working okay for me, but when I got to big, so I did a switch plate, right? It was a llama for my cousin. They have a farm, a gentleman's farm, and they have a lot of llamas, and they put a llama out there. A photo they sent to me. My cousin wanted me to make it for Susan, his wife. So I traced it in, Adobe Illustrator and printed it out, and it was a pretty big switch cover because it was a double gang. But it was lifting up on me, and I was printing it with this stuff. Well, then John Chrisman, my colleague, said that I needed to maybe increase the heat on the bed, maybe another 5 degrees to get it to stick better so it doesn't lift up. So I've never touched the heat bed temperature, so I guess that's something I need to try, and maybe I can get more use out of this filament for stuff like that.
You're adjusting the heat bed temp for what?
To allow the part to stick better.
For what part?
I didn't touch it yet. It's PLA, but it's
okay.
It's like $7 a kilogram. It was a
I
special
you
that was
just
run.
don't.
print everything with a 60-degree bed.
Oh,
I
do you?
mean,
Okay.
Yeah, but
PLA, not I.
0.2 layer.
I crank the heat up for PETG, but my PLA, I just always set it to 60.
Okay.
You just don't want to go past your glass transition temp with PLA or any material. You don't want to get the bed past the glass transition temp.
And do you know what that
So-
is? Like a roundabout for PLA? I know it's different for each manufacturer's spec, but
Isn't it like around 95 C? Around 100 or 95 C for PLA?
all right. So 60 is, you're far enough
60
away
is
with
fine.
60. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I print at 60, 65. Well, 55 to 65, depending on the material or depending on the brand of PLA. I do print.
Is there a test I can do to know if it's sticking better, or you just try it and see how it performs?
Actually, a bed leveling test is a really good test for bed adhesion.
Yeah,
it does the
I actually
multiple
made
squares.
Yeah, I made one for my Prusa that's just 9 squares. It's only 1 layer thick, so it just
Yeah,
lays
that's
down
exactly
these 0.2 millimeter square. Oh no, in fact, I did circles 9 times on the bed, and then that kind of helps me with bed leveling too. It tells me if the bed's not level as well. So
After the stream, John, I'll send you the one that I use.
Okay.
It's 2 circles at each corner, and then an X pattern with, I believe, a circle in the middle of it.
Yep.
And I'll print that using a skirt. So by the time the skirt prints, the second lap around the skirt, I've tweaked the knobs, the bed adjustment knobs, that by the time it gets around to actually printing the bed leveling pattern, it's already level.
Okay.
And that's my final test. And all you do is scale that model up to whatever size bed you're printing on. And,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy of the STL for it.
All right. Good. Thanks.
all right, let's reel this back in. Let's take it over to Pooch. Pooch, give us your go-to cheap and your.
Yeah, I'm kind of an odd duck because I have my own line of filament, so I kind of have I use a lot of my own stuff, obviously. I wouldn't say I have a go-to because I love trying new filaments, and anytime I'm having to run prints, I try to take an opportunity to try something different. But if it's something that I would say is like mission critical and I know needs to work, which is my my own stuff, I use a lot of my Repcord V line, and that gives me really good results on my stuff. And that's not meant to be really a product plug, it's just what it is for me. But I've also used Hatchbox like everybody else. I really like Atomic. I like Color Fab a lot too. But I can't say that I've bought a lot of that with purposes in mind. So I'm not sure I'd be a good indicator.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you an unfair question, but I won't. I mean, I was going to ask you, when you go to a cheap filament, can you go to your own cheaper than buying a cheap? But don't answer that. We don't need to know. We don't answer it. I mean it.
Can I go to my own? No, I want to understand the question.
Well,
can I go to my own?
Yeah, can you go to your own cheaper than buying, say, a roll of Inland? But that isn't fair because don't because I don't want to know what you pay for your filament. That's not fair.
No, I won't reveal. It's fine. I don't particularly mind. I would say yes, but because I buy in bulk, you can't buy at the volume that I buy at.
Right. But I don't want people to think that what you sell costs you less. I don't want them to think that you make, $15 a roll every roll that you sell. So
yeah, I see.
It was an unfair question.
Oh, no, it's way more than that.
It is. Yeah, no, it is a business, and I do have to have a margin on it. But I will say this because I do have domestic suppliers. I do have overseas suppliers. And while the raw material cost, a lot of people don't, is not that high. You would think the margin is pretty healthy on filament. There is a lot of additional expense in the importing process and the packaging and the shipping of stuff because, like I said, it's not an efficient means. So it's not as good, and it's unfortunately not as good as it once was even. So that's all I'll say about that.
Okay. So what you're saying is you could find a cheaper filament.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. Yes, I could. I don't get the cheapest stuff that I can get, if that's what you're asking. Like, there's certainly other options for less expensive suppliers, but at the quality that I want.
No,
you
but
know,
I'm not saying your material. I mean, just for your usage. You know, I mean, if you were gonna print a bag of 50 Makeys to take to, or 100 Makeys to take to a maker fair,
no,
you know, you got to have that cheap filament. So, of course, I printed all mine in AIO Robotics, but all right, I'll leave you alone. I'll quit picking.
I don't have a problem with it.
I didn't really mean to call you out, so
I didn't feel like you did.
All right, Matt, how about you, brother?
Cheap go-to inland, just because I can drive half an hour away, 45 minutes, and pick it up as needed. A trip to Micro Center almost always costs me $100, $150, no matter what I buy. So, like, there's times we'll make a trip down there and fill a cart with inland PLA, or inland filaments. So cheap, big, anything that doesn't matter, prototypes, where I don't want to put a lot of money into something, it's inland all the way. And I usually watch for them to run the $12 or $12.99 sale on white and black. I always, anytime we go down there, I pick up at least one roll of black and one roll of white, even if I have 4 of them sitting on my shelf. I always keep enough of it around. So if I'm going to print something big on the CR10 that's going to get painted and sanded and finished and all that fun stuff, it's usually something cheap, like inland, or almost all the time inland at this point. As far as expensive, for anybody who doesn't have MakerBox, I know Joe Mike said it. I'm sure Glenn will chime in with it too. MakerBox is really nice because there are times where the sample that you get is really worth more than what you paid for the entire box. My jaws hit the floor quite a few times when I wanted to go buy a spool of one of the filaments that we got a sample of, and I realized I can pretty much just keep buying my year's worth of maker boxes for what that one roll of filament would cost me for a 1 kilogram spool. But as far as a go-to expense, more premium, I should say, rather than expensive, Protopasta. I love Protopasta's filaments. I have yet to really have any Protopasta that has not printed well. Whether it's the matte fibers, I even have the conductive Protopasta. One of the first, actually the first Protopasta that I ever printed with was the magnetic iron PLA. That stuff prints awesome. And if I want something that's not going to get finished, as far as sanding, painting, priming, all that stuff, but I want it to look good, it's usually my Protopasta filaments that I'm using. So that's short and sweet. That's my go-tos.
All right. And that takes us over to Marteinn.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I haven't really got to like a go-to filament for a cheap filament. I try to find a reseller with a reasonable pricing on shipping. And recently I've got the Matter Hackers build series at a reasonable price, both the filament and shipping. So I'm quite happy with those. And I've tried several others, and Colorfab is one of my favorite filaments. But like for the expensive filament, or like my precious things, I would say Protopasta also. The Hi-Fi Blue has a special look, and I really like that. And they have several others that I want to try out for special occasions. And then the Polyalchemy, that Hawk 3D Proto in the UK sells. Those filaments looks excellent, and I used those I used a yeah, 2 rolls of those around Christmas, creating Christmas ornaments. So those are like a favorite too. But yeah, I haven't really found a good balance between the price of filament and price of shipping, because I have to buy like 10 rolls of filament to get a reasonable price on shipping. So it's difficult to find a correct filament. And I've only been doing this for half a year, so I haven't really found my go-to cheap filament.
I do want to ask you, Martin, what is that blue filament up there behind you?
That's got to be polyalchemy up there.
No, up higher, right there.
This one, yeah. This is Matter Hacker's translucent blue PET G.
Oh, that's cool looking.
That is beautiful.
It's very cool color. I was printing with this and doing a review on this filament. It will be released tomorrow on my YouTube channel, 3D Print Iceland. So I just did a review on it, and the color of the spool is very glossy and really nice color, and the color of the print. Here's a example of the print, and it's not as shiny.
Yeah,
as
that is a beautiful color.
But I really like this, and this is like a tripod device that you can snap together, and you could make a camera mount or something from this model, and it prints really easily, and I give it good. I gave it a good review.
Oh, don't spoil the video. Come on, don't let the cat out of the bag.
Your model, or is that a Thingiverse?
Yeah, I found this on Thingiverse. Yeah, I'll find it and post it.
Throw the link in the description if you can find it. All right, real quick before we go over to Joe Mike, I want to Lauren from Abuzz Designs posted in the chat, and it kind of made me chuckle. She said that her go-to inexpensive is Hatchbox and Atomic, and her go-to top of the line is Protopasta and Filamentum. And it made me chuckle because my go-to expensive filament's Hatchbox. Yeah, I'm on a completely different level.
It's trash. Man's treasure. Not trash though. No, it's good.
And I've got to agree with Lauren. Filamentum too. I've been buying quite a few of their spools. Not quite the cheapest thing out there, but the Vertigo Galaxy, the Rapunzel Silver are the 2 that I just got. The Galaxy I actually got back at Maker Faire. They sent me home with a spool of that, and just got the Rapunzel Silver. If you're looking for like a metallic silver looking one, that Rapunzel Silver is really good. But same as Protopasta, man. I haven't had a band print with either one of those yet from Filamentum.
All right,
hey guys, I don't want to interrupt, but I got to be on a plane in the morning, so I got to jump off. So I'll have to watch the video to see what Joe Mike's favorite filaments are later.
All right.
I can't wait.
Thanks for joining tonight.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks,
Bye,
Pooch.
Poochie.
See you, Pooch.
All right, go ahead and do yours, Joe Mike, and then we got to do outro so that this kid can go to bed. He's driving me crazy.
He's zombified, man. Okay, so my cheap go-to is Inland, obviously, because Micro Center is right down the street from where I work. Excuse me. Other than that, Hatchbox is my midline, and probably my high-end filaments would be the nylons, so my Tallmans, my Nylon X, and I'd probably throw in my Color Fab XT in there as well. When I print with the Color Fab XT, the material properties on that are nice, but the rolls are quite pricey. That's it.
All right. Well, that's easy enough.
You want me to name all? I mean, Filamentum. I print a lot of Filamentum. Vertigo Gray is probably one of my favorite filaments. Protopasta. Oh man, don't get me. I love Protopasta's stuff, and yeah. So I mean, But as far as like my go-tos, the ones that I use the most of, those are my most used ones.
All right, I'm not gonna egg it on any longer because this poor kid is so tired. So
and then there's the filaments that I use that are my exotics that are the like
I give
the
up.
most
I'm just
expensive
done.
filament that I've ever used was a metal fill by an alchemist.
Goodbye.
about 10 years ago, I used this
Get
one
back in the
filament
bag.
that I got out of the gumball machine.
There's the one that came with my Hicktop Prusa. They gave me just a small.
All right, let's go ahead and do outros real quick.
Thank you.
We'll do our outro so that he can go to bed, and then I don't have to deal with him. And then,
And then you can
so
blab
we'll go
about your favorite film.
right. We'll go right to left once again, and so for everybody out there that doesn't know, I'm Glenn. He's tired, and we are Fun King 3D, and we are a father and sometimes son team that likes to do 3D printing and electronic projects. Well, you're not really in there right now. You're kind of tired. So, and he's eating a half a jug of cheese balls.
No, I'm not. What?
So, our biggest
jug.
project right now, and probably the one that we're most excited about, is getting ready for Maker Faire Gainesville, February 24th. So if you're in the area, please come and see us. And I think everybody that's actually in the area is going to be in the show with us. But whatever, still, you know, if you're in the area, come on out.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, bye guys.
We are still working on starting our R2D2 project that will be printed as much as we can on the Robo 3D, but it's actually still kind of in the plan phase. It's going to take a lot more work than I originally thought. So, but yeah, the Robo D2 will be. No, just one more story. He's really tired. So you can find us. Links are in the description. Well, the links are in the description for almost everybody. And you can find us down there, Fun King 3D, everywhere. Reach out to us on Twitter if you haven't. So now I'll let him go to bed. Say goodnight.
Good night.
Say goodnight so they can hear you.
Good night.
All right, Xander's out. And that's you, Vicky.
All right. This might be the first stream that I've actually outlasted Xander, so that's a win for me. I'm Vicky Somma. Yep. You can find me at TGA3D on YouTube. I'm at TGAW on Twitter. After this stream, I'll refocus on upcycling projects for my Maker Faire Nova, which is going to be on March 18th. And then I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but also keep an eye out on the East Coast RipRapFestival.com. We are putting together a big 3D printing celebration on the East Coast, and it's targeted, I think we're looking at June 22nd through 24th. So definitely go to the website, sign up for our mailing list, and you can get some updates. And some of those updates are written by Lauren from Abuzz Designs.
Fantastic. And that takes us over to John, who is showing us a EARF 2018 card. There we go. Go ahead, John. It's all yours.
That's the EARF card. Yep. All right. So I'm John. What do you do it? I do a lot of stuff. I tell Matt, and then Matt shows you how to do it. No. So my big project was the coffee table. I showed you that. I'll post a link to the coffee table in the live chat in a moment. I started 3D printing. I should have started it a long time ago, but I got into it in March when I received my Prusa printer. So prior to March, I didn't know what a slicer was. Didn't understand. I understood 3D modeling because I did a lot of stuff in Maya and 3D Studio Max, playing with stuff with video games, but I just didn't understand how to apply it to actual modeling. And I understood stuff for CNC because I built my own CNC machine. So you'll find me on Twitter, you_do_it. On Instagram, u.do.it, and YouTube, UDOIT2 is how you find my channel, or You Do It Too. And the big video series is going to be an 8 to 13 part, depends upon how long it is, for how I built a coffee table. And since we just delivered it, I have the footage of delivery and reveal and reactions and everything. So that'll be a little snippet in front of every video. And I'm pretty good with SEO, so if you need tips on how to boost your channel and views, because you know the big thing is right now trying to get not so much the views, but getting the uptime. So you first have to get discovery through views, and then having people watch your channel for 240,000 minutes a year, or they can drop you. So
yeah,
if
I'm
you
glad you
fall below that.
I'm glad you said that, John. So just like a quick shout to the chat people, because I know there's a group of them in there that have been running our videos in the background. I've been doing the same for you guys. John, I played yours for about 48 hours straight. I just kept looping the channel. I did Chris's at Practical Printing, James from Print and Play. I have a computer in my office so that it's not on the same IP address that I'm on, and it's been running loops too. So, and I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. YouTube now knows, and now they're going to come and get me. But I am trying to push your guys' watch time. But real quick, I want to hop over to Joe Mike because he's got a bomb out. So I want him to go ahead and do his outro.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've got a wife who, I mean, I literally just got back into town from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and like immediately just hopped onto this stream. So she's a little, you know, missing me, I guess, which I don't blame her. I'd miss me too if I was gone.
We miss you every time you log out of our group chat.
Anyway, so outro. Joe Mike Terranella. I'm on YouTube. That's my YouTube handle is Joe Mike Terranella. On Twitter, I am Mojike. On Instagram, I'm J Terranella. If you were not here at the beginning of the stream, I announced that my channel is actually officially partnering with MakerBox. These guys, the guys who put out the filament sample subscription service. Nick and I talked, and it's been a year or so in the making, and we finally are moving forward with a partnership. And so each month I'll be going through the box, doing the prints, detailing how I printed each material in there, giving you pointers on how to successfully print with each material. And we'll also be doing contests and giveaways for free maker boxes and other cool crap. So be on the lookout for that. The first box, which is January, which I just got, should hopefully come out pretty soon. Spoiler alert, if you haven't gotten your maker box yet, don't watch the video until you get it. So I'll just say that right now. Yeah, other than that, that's what I've got going, and I need to hop off and say hello to my bed. So
All right, thanks for joining us.
First your wife, and then hello to your bed.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's in the bed, so if I climb in there, I will be, you know, in proximity to her, so it'll be okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe Mike. Have a good night.
See you, Joe Mike.
Love you guys too. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
All right, so now we'll go to Matt.
I'm Matt from How I Do It. As I said at the beginning, I kind of do a little bit of everything. The channel is sort of there for whatever I want to put up on it. I did some drone footage this past weekend and then proceeded to crash my drone on Sunday. So one of my next upcoming videos is going to be repairing my drone. The other video, as Glenn had said, with the new requirements for monetization on YouTube, I know most of us, we're not necessarily trying to make money on YouTube, but at the same time too, it is convenient to get a little bit of an income to kind of offset the projects, the videos, the time, the equipment that we need just to do what we do. So one of the things that I am going to be working on, hopefully this weekend, is I'm going to try to get a video shot on how to make a Raspberry Pi that is a YouTube creator support Pi, basically. Just a Raspberry Pi headless that's you plug it in and it automatically boots up and goes to running YouTube videos that you have added to a playlist. And it'll just sit there and loop through. And as you add more, it'll continue to loop through it. So I'm planning on doing a video about that. Basically, what I'm going to do with mine is everybody you see here on this stream tonight and quite a few others, I'm going to be adding videos to the playlist to hopefully get them some view time, even though my network's basically idle. So sort of think of it as SETI at home, but for YouTube content creators.
That's cool.
So that's something else. I'm going to try to get that shot this weekend. I have the Raspberry Pi and stuff sitting here for that. Besides all that, you can find me on YouTube, how I do it. On Twitter, my handle is @CountryCowboy, and pretty much everywhere else it's Matthew Flinchball. Instagram, Facebook, all those. I normally organize these Friday night streams and make sure that we have a host every 2 weeks. The next Friday night 3D Printing Community Hangout is going to be on February 9th at 10 p.m. Eastern. And the following one is actually going to be a little bit of a near and dear to my heart one, actually. Is going to be February 23rd then. That is one day
The anniversary.
Anniversary
Yeah.
Friday night. Yeah. I have something planned for that, and I'm actually going to be hosting that one on the 23rd. Just so everybody.
Should we all wear tuxedo shirts? Not actually tuxedos, just the T-shirt that looks like one.
I have a tuxedo. I'll wear a tuxedo, sure. Black tie fair.
I keep an eye on Twitter DMs for those of you who've been along through the streams. I have something planned for that stream, so keep an eye on your DMs. Gonna probably start sending stuff out about that here this weekend, probably, just to hopefully keep everybody's schedules clear. So besides that, like I said, I organize the Friday night hangouts, make sure we have a host, and if you guys want to, if you just stumbled upon the stream tonight and you want to keep up with the streams, follow on Twitter @F3DPCH, and that's where all the updates are posted. There's also a Facebook group, F3DPCH-public on Facebook, that you can also keep up to date. If you're interested in joining us as a co-host, there's another group on there on Facebook called F3DPCH-streamers. The only thing that when you create when you join that account, you have to answer some questions. Basically, name. I forget what the second question is. The third question is, what kind of involvement do you have in the 3D printing community, whether you're involved on Facebook, involved on Twitter, involved on YouTube, and if you have a YouTube channel, or if you're a content creator of some type. And the only reason we ask that is because if it's somebody that we don't recognize, we don't want to just necessarily let anybody on the streams right away. If nobody has any idea who they are, we kind of want to vet people, because like tonight, Glenn and Xander have been courteous enough to host the stream for us. We'd hate for somebody to come on their family-friendly stream or channel and do something non-family friendly.
Right, like show a big pile of poop.
Yeah, just
no,
like
we don't have somebody making it all crappy around here.
Yeah, so it's not. If you do try to get in that streamers group and you're not approved right away, I or one of the other moderators of that group will be in touch with you to explain, this is why we ask that you show us your involvement, basically, so everybody can kind of form an idea of who you are as a person, and just make sure that we don't let a troll into somebody else's account. And I know that's harsh to say, but we don't want to screw up somebody else's YouTube reputation. So enough rambling. That's who I am. Thanks for joining the stream tonight, and make sure that you guys give Glenn and Xander a thumbs up for hosting tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad that
12 thumbs up.
Sorry, John. I'm glad, Matt, that you brought up that whole Raspberry Pi thing, because I actually I had that thought the other day too, and started to look into it and found out that it's a possibility. So if you have that information, shoot it to me, because it might be an easier way than I'm looking at doing it. And I'm gonna park that thing in my office, because I work from home, but we have an office not far from here, and I'm just gonna leave it run on their network so that it doesn't come from my home IP. Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by that. So.
Okay.
And then
I'll let you know this weekend, because honestly, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants with it. I haven't done any research yet. I have an idea in my head how to do it, how I want to do it with on Raspbian, but I'll test it out. I'll make sure it works.
All right. Well, I'll send you then the information that I found,
Okay.
how to do it, all command prompt. It doesn't even require X windows.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah. So, all right, let's let Martin do his outro, and then we can just rattle on.
Yeah, I'm Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3DP Iceland, and I'm on YouTube as 3DP Iceland, and on Twitter as well as 3DP Iceland. As you've seen my post in the chat, I've been doing a lot of 3D printed landscape models that I've been printing out and painting, but also a lot of filament testing with the MakerBox series and several things that I've been playing around with to find easy filaments to use, or some filaments that I like to play around with. And I wanted to show two prints. This is my great-grandfather head that I scanned in, and I've sold this, and also this monument that is related to what my grandfather did 100 years ago. And for those two items, I've sold to relatives to pay up my MK2 printer in just 2 months. So that's one of the things I try to do with my hobbies, is to get some revenue stream from those hobbies. So you can make money even though it's not like a full-time job. But yeah, Matt is showing.
Yeah, here's some of Martin's work for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, he does cool work with the landscapes.
It's amazing. I mean, the picture on the video is pretty good, but it doesn't do it justice. This thing's awesome.
Yeah, I want to show mine off too. I can't pronounce it, but
Martin did us a favor. So, Martin, just so you know, Dixie and I did shoot an unboxing video of it.
Yeah.
When we got it, I've been too busy with work. I haven't really been able to edit it. But Martin did us all a favor. I've noticed every other YouTuber who has gotten one of the landscapes has had to try to pronounce the area. Martin did include the name of the area on ours.
Yeah, that's my joke of it. I print out an area with a Icelandic name of some mountain or a glacier or something, and I write a letter and tell people why I printed out this model, and name the mountain or the glacier or what the area is called, and write it in a big letters so people can show it in the camera. But I try to find very difficult names just for fun. So I've done quite a number of those prints, and I sent out I think 10 or 12 models already, and have a long list of YouTubers that I still have to print and paint and send out to. So it's my way on getting to know people and getting my name out there. So it's a great project that I've been doing.
Well, and you double whammied me, because I can't pronounce the name of that area nor the volcano that you mentioned in the letter. And I'm Swedish, I should have a little something of that, but can't do it.
Yeah, it's Eyjafjallajökull.
What? Say that again.
Eyjafjallajökull.
I don't think I could even make that sound with my mouth.
No, it's very difficult, but it's we have a lot of words that are quite difficult, and I try to implement those areas into the prints I'm sending out. So,
it's a Germanic language, right?
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of the outros. I'll get there at some point. So it must be getting late for me too. But
a topic out there.
So this is at the point where the stream goes completely off the rails and just kind of takes its own toll and goes where it wants to go. So we'll continue to watch you guys in the chat as long as we can hang in there, and of course we get to now just kind of discuss whatever we want to. So, and I do want to reiterate. Did I say that right? This whole YouTube thing, when we say to you guys how important it is to get the watch count up, just like Matt said, it's not necessarily about the money. It's not that we only do this for the money. Even if they take the money away from us, we're going to continue to do this. It's just that every little bit helps. It's very expensive to be a content creator, and that's income that comes in from you guys just watching the ads and stuff, which, you know, or YouTube Red or whatever. So, you know, when you guys let those ads play, it really does help us, and it does help tremendously. So, but don't think that it's just about the money to us, because it's not. I'm going to keep doing this. I love doing this. So as much as I'd like to choke the kid once in a while, I still love doing this. So.
Yeah, I think I've spent more money on lights and cameras and gear and stuff to create the setting to create a YouTube channel more than I've spent on the printers, and I have 2 Prusa printers, so it's not cheap if you want to get good quality and good lighting and good audio, and when you're beginning you try something out and shortly find out that your mic that you bought was not very good, and then you buy another one and the third one, and also with cameras, and so it's a discovery phase to start a channel, and it's not very cheap, and the price of the 3D printers are just a very small portion of the total cost.
Yeah, and I've now run into a situation where, you know, because we moved, you know, the old area is over there, and we shifted over here, but I'm away from my computer now, so it requires now a second computer, which I'm running through my laptop right now, which is just barely handling it. So I'm actually looking at building myself a new work computer, and then that computer that I used to use, which was doing fine, will come over here. But that's another $1,500 worth of expense that I wasn't really planning on. So, and again, it's not a cry. I'm not sad. It's my own decision. You know, I can make lower quality videos, but I don't want to. You know, I want to do the best that I can while I'm doing this. So not a cry for help, not a cry, oh pity me, just telling the story.
Yeah. For me, I'm like a guru when it comes to all kinds of tech. So I'm very picky of model numbers and manufacturers. So I don't want to buy the cheapest stuff I can possibly get. I want some brand names, and and that makes it even more expensive. But that's a choice. I could say that I don't go out and play golf, so I don't have to buy a golf set. So people spend money on different things depending on their hobbies. So for me, it's very good to get some revenue to meet the expenses of the hobby. Like I've sold 3D printed parts, and even I sold one of the landscapes I did. There was a custom request from a guy that contacted me. Can you please print this area for me? And if I get a little bit of money, it's easier to to tell my wife that it's okay for me to buy this because I got this money back from this prints I sold. So that's also a factor on just common bookkeeping of the household.
Yeah, I haven't found that special niche yet. I haven't found anything where I can sell or make money back. Like, I mean, I guess I need to start pushing my services that it's available, that I can do 3D printing. I haven't found that niche market yet. I haven't really tried either, so I guess that's bad on me. But
yeah, for me, for those two parts, because my great grandfather was a minister in the Icelandic Parliament 100 years ago, so he was like a famous person at the time, and my relatives really wanted to get this model because I had the original casting of this item, and I 3D scanned it by taking photographs and using Akisoft software to create the model. And now a lot of my relatives can have this item, that there's only 2 of them made in Iceland. So I found a special needs that I could tap into, and also with this monument, this is a monument of what he was doing. So it's a very small market, but even though it's small, it paid my Prusa Mark II printer in 2 months. So it's you have to find something that some other guys relate to, and if you can find the needs, like the fidget spinner at the beginning, a lot of people paid their printers by creating fidget spinners at the time before China got the mass production in. So if there's like the big next thing you can jump into, then you can make some money.
yeah, I missed that whole fidget spinner craze by, I don't know, not long. And it's all Joseph Prusa's fault. Had he shipped my printer out right away instead of a 9-week back order, I would have been in at the end. But
yeah, I think I was about the same time when I got my printer. I had designed in Fusion 360 a spinner, but when I got the printer, the spinner thing was fading out, so I never actually got into printing the spinners out. The plan was for my son to go to school and sell them, but everybody got them at their gas station at the time I got my printer. So I missed out on that also.
Glenn, are you doing a booth at the Maker Faire, or are you just attending?
No, we're actually going to exhibit. It was oh no, I can't think of his name, and I feel bad. He was actually in our live stream. He came into our chat in the live stream last week. His name will come to me, but he actually reached out to me about exhibiting because I had made a comment in one of my videos about how I was kind of disappointed in the Orlando Maker Faire that there just wasn't a 3D presence there. Not saying it was their fault. I mean, they did a beautiful job on that Maker Faire. In fact, I felt more comfortable at that one than the New York one. But I spent the whole weekend at Orlando Maker Faire helping out these ladies that own a chocolate company. They had bought a Lulzbot to make pieces that they were then going to vacuum form to make chocolates, and they were having problems printing. You know, like I had just gone up to the booth and I'm like, where does the 3D printer fit in? And they're like, well, we're making these molds. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, but it's not working. And I'm like, well, do you mind? And they're like, no, come on in. So I spent the whole weekend, but it was fun because then being at their booth, the people would come up and they would go, oh, what's with the 3D printer? And I'd be like, well, what the ladies do. And then I got to talk to people about 3D printing, which was amazing for me because I'm very, very introverted. So that's the part that's scary about all this. But this gentleman reached out to me through Facebook and said, hey, we're putting on the Gainesville Maker Faire. Why don't you come and exhibit? And then there will be more of a 3D printing presence. And so being introverted as I am, I don't want to go do this by myself. So I roped Ron from the Happy Extruder in. I said, hey, why don't we go together and we'll get a booth and it'll be a Fun King Happy Extruder thing. And you know, it's just one day, but I'm excited. And now Askewed 3D is coming up they're down in the Tampa area. They're going to come up. They applied and they're going to exhibit as well. So,
oh, nice.
And I don't really have anything. I mean, we're just going to put a bunch of stuff that we've printed out and have our printers there and talk about them. You know, I mean, we're not going to sell anything or give anything away I guess if people want to.
But one thing that you may find is that you might have people approach you from that about custom work or, you know, things to do.
That's a good point and something I didn't think about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's most of the work that I've done, besides stuff that I've designed on my own. Like I just during the stream was printing one of the bows on our Etsy shop for an order. Besides stuff like this, most of the work that's come to me to prototype stuff or design something completely new, like right now, because of selling fidget spinners on Facebook, this is going to be kind of hard to see, but I got contacted while I was selling fidget spinners about doing model tractor pulling tractors. Specifically, and again, this is really hard to see, this cage right here on top that you can kind of see through.
That's some pretty amazing detail on that.
And this is this is FDM. This isn't resin or anything. Specifically, these cages, he couldn't find anything that he liked. Everything was too big for the 1/64th scale that the guy's doing his setup in. So he came to me about originally designing those cages, and this was back in like June. Him and I finally got to get together 2 or 3 weeks ago now. He brought over a bunch of these models, and we looked at them. I took measurements and pictures, and then set to work on recreating it. And that has evolved now. I probably have, I think, about 10 different designs that I need to do yet that he wants. Talking anything from these tractor frames that he's going to then take and sand and paint and do all that. All I have to do is design it and print it. He understands what a 3D print finish looks like, and he's going to take it from there and do all the finishing and customizing the way he wants it. But then I'm doing stuff like little teeny tiny traffic barrels and traffic cones, road barriers, stuff that normally he'd have to buy a pack of like 10 other things in order to get 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of these barrels. Instead, I'm going to run off a print bed full of barrels for him, of a couple hundred of them, because they're tiny. I mean, they're smaller than a dime. But that stuff has kind of come to me through setting up. Back in June, my wife and I set up our flinchball design stuff at our yard sale. Instead of actually setting up yard sale stuff, we set up basically like a vendor show. That was kind of our first foray into it, and that has kind of brought in quite a bit of interest, people who have contacted us. And then back in November, right after, I guess it was actually the beginning of December, we did an actual craft show. We didn't make a lot of money at the craft show. I think we covered our costs for the craft show, and I think we might have doubled what we paid for the booth fee. So we did all right. I mean, we made some money on it. But that has stemmed to a lot of people contacting me about custom work. They've seen what we can do, and we kept telling, as part of our spiel to everybody was, we do customized things as well. I'll quit rambling after this. We had a machine shop who has people coming to them for one-off parts for prototyping that they just don't have the capacity to do something small. They're looking at large batches of things. They've referred people to me to do one-off prototypes and stuff, just so a company can have something in their hand. So they tell me what they want. I do the design of it, print it out, send it off to them, or with a lot of this local stuff, they just come and pick it up. That's where a lot of my profits. Now, I've probably paid for one of my printers through doing all of it. But more so, every time I make a sale, I usually purchase filament. And that's where I get my protopastas and stuff like that. So I just reinvest it back into the hobby. So I'm done rambling.
Just think, if you only bought Inland, how much more filament? Nothing against protopasta. Their stuff is beautiful. I love the High Five Blue particularly, but yeah, no, I would love to start turning a profit. And you know, like in the beginning, my wife gave me a lot of guff about this because, yeah, I mean, I plunked down a lot of money. I bought the Prusa and then immediately bought the A-Net, you know, and I spent like well over $1,000 like in the first week that I said I was going to do this. And then I started buying microphones and sound mixers, you know, audio mixers and more cameras. And she's like, oh, this is getting to be so expensive. And then Ron, the Happy Extruder, was the first person to ever support me over at Patreon. He threw me $1 on Patreon, and I come flying down the stairs, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm making money. And she said, what? And I said, I'm making $1 a month. And she didn't find that nearly as funny as I did, you know, like, but you got to start somewhere, you know, you got to, but I don't, I mean, I love my people. I love my audience. When I do a live stream, like, I've been so tired lately. I've been working a lot, and I've been really, really tired, and I haven't been sleeping well, and you know, whatever. So we went to do the live stream last Saturday night. Well, actually, we were going to do it Friday, and I was just too tired. I said, Xander, let's do it Saturday instead. And then all of a sudden, it came time to do it, and I was so tired, and I almost backed out of it, and I didn't. And I'm so glad I didn't, because they energized me. Just that whole interaction with everybody just energizes me, and I love doing it, and it's so much fun, and they're so much fun. And so but I don't want to necessarily depend on them for the income. You know, I'd like to have all of these machines that I have sitting here making some money, producing something, you know, and you know, Lauren and Matt, you guys with the ears and stuff, I'm terrified of doing something that could get me. I mean, I'd love to, you know, sell stuff like this. I mean, I didn't make that design, so I couldn't legitimately sell that, but I'd be afraid that somebody would come after me, you know, like, I just don't want to risk it. So
yeah, we've actually made a shift. It hasn't fully gone into effect. We were talking about it a little bit before the stream started. We're actually kind of refocusing our stuff and going to things like these bows that are 100% our own, rather than going down the Disney path and stuff like that. We haven't had any issues with it, don't get me wrong. But we've actually, my wife and I have been talking, we're going to refocus the direction that we're going with it. Kind of, to an extent, feel better charging a premium for 100% my own design. Something, and also, like you said, Glenn, there is the concern there, you know, Disney does occasionally crack down. So
yeah, well, I'm now afraid because you said the D word twice, and now I'm going to lose my monetization on this.
We're after the 3-hour mark watching this. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna refocus our stuff and go off with our own designs, which I'm working on now. About the closest we might get is, you know, like team collars and stuff like that, for things like the bows and bow ties. Pooch has one of my bow ties we made for him for Maker Faire.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember up in New York. Yeah.
He messaged me less than 24 hours from that meetup and asked if he could get one of the bows from me. I designed his bow, printed it and everything, and grabbed it on my way to the meetup on that Thursday night for Matter Hackers.
That's pretty awesome.
For anybody who is thinking about Etsy, Vicky and Lauren, and I'm going to plug you guys because I screwed up when I started my Etsy shop. If you are thinking about an Etsy shop, Vicky has a code and Lauren has a code. We'll get, I think it's 40 free listings for you and 40 free listings for them. Use their code. I screwed up. I owe Vicky one.
Oh, it's okay. If you have a friend that has an Etsy shop, you should give them, you know, like you should let your friend give you the referral code, you know, as opposed to strangers on the internet. Who'll take your free listings? I'll take them.
No. if you have those links, post them in the chat now.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is I'll grab them out of the chat and put them in the description of the video.
Lauren, do you want to go ahead and post yours?
Yeah. Go,
Glad you
Lauren.
want to mod Lauren, Abuzz Designs.
Oh, I don't know if I can trust her to be a mod on my channel.
I don't know, she's a little squirrely.
Oh, yeah.
I have so many mods now.
That's funny. I'll be watching somebody stream and I'll be typing in the chat. I'm like, oh, hey, look, I'm a mod. But yeah, definitely. If you don't have anybody else, like Vicky said, I mean, if you got a friend or something, obviously support them. Even if you're not exactly sure what you're going to do with your Etsy shop, go ahead and use their link if you think you're going to set one up. At least give them the 40 free, and if you don't use them, so be it. It doesn't cost you anything for that.
That's true.
So if you, I don't know anything about Etsy, and my wife had talked about doing it. My wife, I'm going to plug my wife. Oh, that sounded bad. Whew, good thing it's after midnight and Xander
I
went to
thought
bed.
you were a family-friendly channel.
Oh, we were until just right now. Right now, we just lost it. She makes memorial pillows and memorial stuffed animals. So, like, if you have a loved one that passes away, like we lost my dad almost a year ago now, back in March. So she got all of my dad's old shirts, and she uses like the button-down ones and makes these really nice pillows. And I wish I had one up here to show you guys. And then like the T-shirts, she made the kids blankets, like these like snuggly blankets and stuff out of all the T-shirts and stuff, so that your loved one is kind of always with you. You know, like you have something to remember them by, and it's something very personal and close, and it's amazing. And she does really good work. And so she was going to set up an Etsy store, but she doesn't know anything about it, and I didn't know anything about it, and I'm busy all the time, and I feel bad that I haven't. So when you set up, you have to pay per listing. Is that what it is? Like if you have 10 things, you have to pay for 10 things?
Yeah. So, but if you do the referral code, your first 40 listings are free. And so if it's every instance, like if she put up a listing for one memorial pillow and someone came and bought 5, then she would be charged the listing fee 5 times. So like once for the first purchase, and then, you know, like once for every renewal, like for it to.
Okay, so it's not like you put an item, you know, I have 500 of these items. For every one that sells is a listing.
Yes, and yeah, you could put the quantity that's 500, but she'll still get the relisting fee. So if you have someone that wants to buy in bulk, a way to go around that is you make one listing, you're like set of 5, blah 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 blahs. So they're like buying one thing, but it includes 5 actual items. And then when you actually do make a sale, there is a transaction fee. I'll have to look that up. Lauren, do you know it offhand? Is it 3.5% or something? Look it up.
She said the listing fee is 20 cents per listing. I forget.
Oh, okay.
I've only made 2 sales on Etsy, so I don't remember what the fees are yet.
I thought it was. Oh, and the listing will last about, I think it's 4 months, and then it'll expire, or you can have it auto renew when you get charged again.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess for the coverage that you get, you know, for not having to advertise. I mean, people go to Etsy to find stuff. So, but
it's,
I don't know.
Like if you ask Lauren, I know she'll tell pretty much everybody that her Etsy shop has really been driven a lot by what she does on Instagram with it. She's always on Instagram with her Abuzz About Ears account on Instagram, or it may even be the Abuzz Designs account. I forget exactly how she has it. But she said earlier when we were talking about, you know, how do you get income for 3D printing? Is it through Etsy? Is it through word of mouth? Like, how do you get the work that you get? And she said, as far as her ears go, Instagram is the big player there. She's always doing something on Instagram about her ears. And then the designs and stuff like that is all word of mouth for like special requests and stuff. There's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, because you know, like I'm a technical guy. I've been in computers my whole entire adult career life, so I can I can make my wife an online store, you know, an e-commerce site.
Yeah. It's nice not having to worry about all the details of it. You know, somebody comes, basically the way Etsy works is, yes, you're paying the fees for the listing, you're paying the fees, selling fees and things like that come out of, well, the listing fee you pay for out of pocket, but then like all the other fees that are associated with it come out as somebody purchases something, basically. If correct me if I'm wrong there, Vicky.
No, that's correct. Yeah.
So, you know, like I might have something marked for $25. In the end, I get whatever, $24.50, or well, not quite that, maybe $23.50, something like that. You're paying for.
So I think. Sorry, I'm doing some math.
You're paying for that convenience, so you don't have to worry about figuring out sales tax, figuring out the back end that's going to run the system. You just put your listing up, and so to speak, to an extent, people come to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Vicky. I'm just wondering if it'll work out for her, because all of her stuff, it's not even so much just one-off. It's only whatever. I mean, like the people may only have one shirt, or they may want a pillow made for every kid, or, you know, like, so I still don't know if that would be the right way for her to go. I mean, she does other stuff. She makes these cool little tote bags, and she's looking into making these little coasters and stuff now. So like that kind of stuff might be more.
Well, actually, when you mentioned Memorial Pillow, I Googled it, and there are some Etsy listings on there. I could see exactly what you're talking about. And they also, you can put things up, you know, to give people the opportunity to customize. And I think I've seen things, it was breast milk soap, where you could actually like ship someone your breast milk and they would make soap. But in your wife's case, the people can ship the meaningful garment her way, and then she can make the pillow out of it.
Yeah, that breast milk soap is a little disturbing. I wasn't even aware that was a thing.
It's after 12, so it's okay.
Lauren made a good point, kind of adding on what I was saying about, like, you're kind of paying the convenience of Etsy doing all the back end work, and people just sort of come to you. Obviously, the more advertising you do, like Lauren does, and I know there's times where Lauren's just swamped with orders. Even if you do like your own e-commerce site, Glenn, you're still going to be looking at that 2 to 3% minimum credit card transaction fees that you got process anyhow, which is basically what you're paying for Etsy.
Right.
And people think to go to Etsy when they're like, I need a custom gift or I need something handmade. They're thinking to go to Etsy and search on it, which is one advantage it has over Shapeways. You know, like you could upload your models to Shapeways and people can print it, but I don't think the general population thinks like, I'm going to go to Shapeways, I'm looking for a present, you know, but the Etsy, that trigger is there.
And yeah, the other thing too, as far as, since we're kind of on this Etsy thing, Facebook. There are a lot of Etsy groups on Facebook where people go on there and look for the Etsy sellers and buyers groups. People go on there and say, hey, like Christmas time was every single day, like I swear to God, every minute. Somebody was posting, I've got these 6 people in my life that I'm looking for presents for and I want to buy from Etsy. And here's the things they're into. So like I'd watch with the cheerleader hair bows. I made that design originally for my daughter and we decided to put it on Etsy. I'd watch for people saying that they have a daughter that's in cheerleading or a niece that's in cheerleading, and right away, bam, send a link on that posting to my Etsy list or my Etsy listing for it. So like you kind of do your own marketing there. But like Vicky said, the market is there on Etsy. People are going to Etsy when they're thinking customized things, whether they're thinking crafts or handmade things, so to speak, hand designed, handmade. They're going to Etsy. That's the place to go.
All right, well, definitely.
Your time expenditure would be, you know, taking good photos and tagging the heck out of the items.
And if you're thinking about it, Glenn, use Vicky or Lauren's 40 listings, and then
Lauren already put her link in the thing, so you should
I've
get
got
that
it
before.
already, yeah, it's already in the description of the video. So
yeah, so if you use that, you get basically 40 free listings for 4 months. So you can kind of test the waters, and it's not really going to cost you anything.
yeah, that's a good point. Martin looks like he's falling asleep over there.
Yeah, I just posted the link in the chat. It's a Google, like a short link of my head that I scanned in and 3D printed, and I actually brought this to an event at work and had this it was tied around my neck, hanging throughout the night, and a lot of people asked how. Can you do this for me? So I had this idea to get a 3D scanner for Christmas. So I bought this as a Christmas gift to myself. But I calculated that if I would get like 15 people at work 3D scanned and sell them the print for a certain amount of money, I would pay for the device. So you can justify some of the cost, even though you don't go like on a public site. You can get just by going to people at work or friends and families, and all the revenue that I have got from 3D printing is just direct contact on Facebook or at work or people that I know. So if you can do it directly, then you they will just pay you $10 in cash for the thing that you do, and then you don't have to take care of the credit card fees and all that. But that will always be in a small scale. But if you can get enough money to buy a thing like this, then it's good value for you to spend a little bit of time in marketing and just bringing this guy to work event. A lot of people were asking, you have to do me. So I got the equipment to do it in an easy way. So I'm gonna bring this to work and scan people, and then more people will want their own heads. And I scanned all my family and had that in a video that I did a review on a filament and showed all the heads, and it can be income that can justify the cost of some of the things you buy. So you don't have to go like in a public venue to get money for your projects.
Yeah, I work here at home, and I already know I can print stuff. And even if I go to the office, I only work with like 5 people. You know, it's like
yeah.
You know, another good thing to draw. I don't know. I'm not on Facebook that much. I know Vicky and Glenn, friends with you guys. Actually, I think Martin and John, I'm friends with all you guys on Facebook, on the personal side of Facebook. And I don't know how much you guys post what you're 3D printing or projects that you're working on. But that's actually a pretty good way to drum up some interest. Glenn, you said about like missing the fidget spinner niche, or Lauren's Mickey ears, that smaller category, or the hair bows that we're doing. I know Vicky's got her own hair bow designs too, that are done in
bow ties.
I bought one of Vicky's bow ties for my daughter
And adapted it, yeah.
and adapted it into a hair bow. But you've already got the niche going for you, which is the 3D printing aspect of it, because everybody still hears 3D printing and it's interesting to them. But then when, like, if you're posting on Facebook practical things that you're 3D printing, and then also the impractical things too. I'm not sure how much you guys post that stuff on your Facebook, but that is a good way to gain interest and get people asking questions. Once they start asking questions, they start getting interested. I had my 3D printer for a year and a half, actually probably even slightly longer than that, before my dad got interested in it. And my dad's actually been my biggest customer because of the sporting clay sportsman's clubs that he runs the sporting clays for. He's been ordering customized things for the automatic traps that throw the clay birds and replacement parts and things like that. It took him 1.5 years before he realized that there's some potential for it. But once he did, I'm working on an order right now for over 100 pieces at about $5 a piece.
I got a jet, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna head to bed as well. Hey Glenn, check out the chat. Tony Ryan does have a number of suggestions of places to take prints to get some leads, including train shows.
Excellent. I will copy out the whole entire chat.
Yeah.
So
Right,
we
well-
can do that.
Yeah, well, the first time I ever did the first time I ever hosted the live stream, I copied the whole chat and posted it to my website so people could go back and read it. But then I found out that it doesn't actually, like, it only goes back a certain distance. So
Right.
So yeah, it's
all right. I'm gonna
grab that
log off. So thank you everyone for joining. One thing I do want to leave everybody with.
Yeah.
Good. If you got to leave, go ahead and leave. I'll stop talking.
Okay. Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for a wonderful night. Bye.
Good night, Vicky.
Just so Murph, I have a table at Murph. You know, I sponsored the event. I want to make sure we have representation for the F3D PCH. So I'll have to get some signage made. I'm going to have signage made for me, you know, to kind of show off the table. I'm not going to have the table there, but I want to show off the table and everything. But I want to make sure that I get 3D PCH incorporated in there. Maybe we'll have some business cards printed up or something and hand them out to bring more interest. I mean, this is the thing we're going to keep doing. So
you know, we should probably somebody should model something up that we can all start printing batches of. You know,
that's a good idea. Yeah,
maker coin type thing. You know, not that the people at Murph are going to be like, "Wow, 3D printing," because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it could draw a different crowd. I mean, tonight we've had a lot of different people join us in the chat over the night. There's been a lot of new names that I haven't seen before, and a lot of the usuals too. A few of the usuals that weren't there, I was thinking, where are they? And they just recently popped in. John Mack and Tony Ryan. They were missing from the chat, and I thought, oh man, where are those guys at? Because they're some of our usuals. And then they just jumped in about a half hour ago. I saw them start posting.
Fidget spinners, no.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Our own custom fidget spinners. We can make it have like 12 points, and we'll have our faces on each one. You know.
Yeah, there is a Matt's Makers World said about printing the logo. There is a design for the logo in the works right now. I know Mike NLTMW already had when he submitted the design that we went with, this one right here. He actually already had a 3D model, I believe even printed already, of that logo.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that we could just print out, like each of us should just print batches and batches of them.
Yep.
So that we can have them there. We can
I'm game for that.
Chain size.
Because I mean, people love maker coins, you know, and I'm actually a little bit greedy with my maker coin. I won't release the file because I don't want people printing their own. I know that's weird, but I don't want people printing their own maker coin of mine. I want every maker coin that's out there. I made it. So everybody that has one of my maker coins, I made it for them, you know. So I know that's a little weird, but
yep. No, it's really cool. All right, I'm gonna leave. So just thank you for the suggestions about what to print.
All right.
And give me an AI file for the logo. I think it was already mentioned. Post that in the streamers Facebook, would you?
Yes, I need to get on that. I apologize.
That's fine.
Yes, I got the high res of the logo, the banner. Although I need this banner that I'm using here in the bottom corner. I need the high res of that. I just have the JPEG of it. But I did not get the model from you. Not that I can't create one, but if you already got it, there's no point in recreating the wheel. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem. Yeah, so just the AI file is really what I need.
Yep.
So I got, you know, the OBCC. All right. Later, everyone.
See you, John.
Yeah, the maker
Oh,
coin.
nice. We can talk about them. No, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my maker coin, because I have my face model on my maker coin. This is a 100 megabyte STL file. Because of detail, I can scale this up to a full size print on my printer. So it's a lot of detail. So I'm thinking the same. I haven't posted this model on my Thingiverse page because I want to make those also and send them out. So it's, yeah, maybe a strange thinking, but I have the same thinking as you, Glenn.
I don't know. You know, Angus Maker's Muse gave me a couple of his when I met him in New York, and you know, I had everybody sign a piece of acrylic that I sent to Ryan, Technology Nerd 18, out in California, and I sent him one of Angus's maker coins, and he got it and he was excited to have it, and he's like, "Wow, this is really good quality, Glenn. What did you print this on?" And you know, he was doing it on a live stream, and I typed into the chat, "I didn't print that, Angus did." And I mean, he about crapped himself because, you know, oh my God, Angus has touched this. And I'm not saying that, you know, people are like, oh my God, Glenn touched this, but it's just a little bit more special to know that every one of my maker coins that are out there came from me. That came off of my printer. I touched it. I made it. I sent it out. And it also makes sure that the quality is right, because if they fail, I don't send them. I'll pitch them before I send out a bad quality one.
Well, and that's Martin, your maker coin's a good example of it. Part of the point of the maker coins was kind of creating your own. It was your own piece, but at the same time too, like when Angus started the whole maker coin trend, it was a torture test. So like my maker coin, actually I have one right here. This is actually the very first one I printed. Speaking of protopasta magnetic iron PLA. Now obviously this one's huge, but so that's the top side of it. The very first one I printed, that's what the bottom turned out like. But that was kind of the point of them, was it was a challenge. So yeah, I can appreciate, Glenn, when you say you don't want to send yours out there and have somebody else screw it up and that be what people see. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like my coin, I printed it upside standing upright, so I get very good detail on the side.
Yeah.
So I have a small foot that I break off, so it can stand on the bed like this. So it's if the layer adhesion is not very good on the filament, it will fail. So I use this maker coin on all my filament testing from the maker box. I always print out a head, and because it's not an easy print on a printer that is not very well tuned in. So I want to make sure my maker coins are good quality also.
Yeah, so I got this guy's maker coin.
Yeah.
yeah. And then I got this guy's maker coin.
Yep.
And then I got this guy's maker coin. And I got this guy's maker coin.
Yeah, this one is nice.
I love Chris's logo. The whole guy falling down the stairs cracks me up.
Yeah.
And this is a skewed view 3D maker coin, and it baffled me at first because it's recessed on the back, and I thought it was printed like this, and that was beautiful bridging. But he told me if I look at the edging, which I still don't really see it, he's cleaned it up really well. It actually prints. It prints on end like this as well.
Yeah.
So, but that's still some great overhang on that. So I don't know if he's still in the chat. Yeah, he's still in the chat. So, yeah. And then I have one from Angus and stuff. And, you know, there's that Joel guy. He never gave me one. You know, I've done so much for that guy and he never does anything for me. Sorry, I just seen my name flinging by in the chat. So
Yeah, I was just
Yeah, I was also answering.
the chat goes in spurts. It'll sit still for a while, and then all of a sudden it just jumps.
Yeah.
There was a question in the chat about the. There is currently a very rough edited, rough recorded version of how to set up a stream for, basically for YouTube streaming the way we do this, where we do the group hangout. Upon request of a new host or somebody who just wants to refresh themselves, I do share the video that I currently have, but Glenn, I think you've seen it. It's a really rough edit of how to get the stream set up.
It's been a while since I've watched it, so
yeah. I get asked every time we get a new host, somebody who's hosted for the very first time. I send them that video, but I have everything shot for a final, more of a polished video. I mean, that thing literally, I was sitting at the campground one weekend before the Friday night stream and very quickly did a screen cap with text and talking in the background and noise. So it's not the greatest thing. Once I polish that, I will get it up. That'll actually be out on my channel, so to speak, of how I do it, how to host the Friday night 3D Printing Community Hangout. So,
yeah, I also watched that video that you did initially.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's functional. It's just not a very well done video. It was done.
The problem is the way YouTube has it set up. I mean, you go in and it asks, how you're going to do your stream. Are you going to use your own stream, or I guess it just says Google Hangouts and it says like quick or easy or whatever, but it isn't, because then once you do that, yeah, it's scheduled, but to get the link, you have to actually then go in and click on the, you have to click the start stream button or whatever, and nobody wants to do that. Well, I don't want to start the stream now, but you have to go in to get the link out of there. Right. And you haven't really started the Hangout yet, and it's, I don't know. I think the way they have it worded is kind of goofy, and they should give you that link outside of, but
yeah. I had the same experience when I hosted. I was just thinking the stream would start right away, and I had this link and was gonna post that in the Google Hangouts chat, and then somebody told me this link will expire, so you really have to paste the link just maybe half an hour or 1 hour before the stream.
Yeah, I think we found that the sweet spot's 1 hour. So like when we're streaming, we stream at 10 o'clock every 2 weeks. So posting that Hangout link, that is what, for those of you in the chat who've never been on the stream before, that's what we use to connect to this. Basically, we're using Google Hangouts. And the host, in this case, Glenn, would get a link, but if he posted that link too soon, it would actually change by the time we got around. That's why there for a little bit, we had a couple of streams that started late, excluding this one. This one was technical difficulties. But we had streams that started late because we didn't realize that we weren't in the right Hangout, that the link had changed. Now we've gotten that down. Basically, that link needs to go out around 9 o'clock in order to be accurate for the stream. But yeah, so there is going to be a polished video, which will be public then, because it's not really a secret how we do this. It just makes it easier for anybody who wants to host. It gives us a good reference point. And to answer the local host question in the chat, any way to integrate chat into the video for better archival? Yes. However, you can't use OBS for it.
You have to use XSplit, which is a monthly charge. They charge monthly for their software.
Yeah, there's monthly, yearly, and I think there's a lifetime too, because I'm about ready. I've had XSplit long enough. I think I'm going to go with the lifetime fee.
But the problem would be is we would all have to have it. Everybody who hosts would have to pay for that software to be able to do it.
That's exactly correct. So
I think what we need to do is well, like I did, and copy the chat and post it somewhere, but I mean, that's exactly, it would be very nice to be able to have that chat in there, and maybe that's something that we need to start hammering on Google to fix. Hey, how about making this an option?
Right.
So at least have it archivable where when you're watching a video, you can go back and see the chat, because a lot of times we start talking about, oh, you know, so-and-so in the chat said blah, blah, blah. And you miss half that conversation because you don't get to see.
About the only thing, and this would, I'm looking into it right now. I have an idea on how we could possibly do it, but let me look into that for right now. How we could possibly get XSplit across the hosts, so to speak. That would like basically a license that would be good for using it for the Friday night streams. Because they have more than just the personal broadcaster license like what we're using.
Yeah, right.
Let me look into that. There may be a way that maybe we look for maybe donations from the community to get a license for the streamers to use,
or we all just chip in and
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the layout, the image you're having, Matt, that is from XSplit that you're using.
Correct. Yeah. That's how I'm doing my logo down here, right there, and how I'm doing the Friday night Hangout logo is because what I'm doing is, and my video that I did doesn't even cover this because I didn't know it at the time. I'm using XSplit as my camera input to Google Hangouts. So that allows me to still have all the features of XSplit, but I'm not actually streaming straight from XSplit to the to YouTube like you normally would for a single person stream. I don't know if there is.
Do you not use OBS then? You just use XSplit for all the stuff you do?
I used OBS until I wanted to do this for the streams. Put my logo in the corner and now put the Friday night logo in the other corner. Before putting my logo down in the bottom corner of my screen, I used OBS. Any live stream that I did, I used OBS. But OBS does not have any plugins or any there is no way in OBS to use it as a device input, which your computer needs. XSplit, it recognizes it as a camera feed. There's an output for XSplit to be recognized as a camera. So as far as the computer goes, as far as Hangout goes, it just thinks it's another camera webcam that's hooked to my computer. Basically.
Yeah, you'd have to have two computers, one with a HDMI capture, and you'd have to output from one to the other to use OBS to do it. As of now,
right? As of now, you're correct.
Right.
Which and is expensive when you're talking HDMI captures plus lag
and two computers.
Yeah, localhost is asking if that's why there's a slight audio video lag from me. XSplit should have nothing to do with that. Actually, if anything, I think it's the fact that
that's Google.
Yeah, well, and I think also my Ethernet's not hooked up right now, so I'm on Wi-Fi.
Oh well, yeah, that would hurt it as well. But
yeah,
are you the only one lagging? Am I lagging? Hey, everybody, how am I doing? Am I lagging?
I say on my end, everybody seems fine. Joe Mike was stuttering a little bit tonight,
but I think that's just Joe Mike.
Well, and he said he's on really weak. He was on really weak Wi-Fi in his garage. So.
Yeah, in his garage. So I don't know, but how does Google Hangouts not play with OBS? Google Hangouts doesn't play with OBS because OBS,
it's more so OBS doesn't play with Google Hangouts.
Right. OBS doesn't put out as a webcam. Google Hangouts actually sees XSplit as a webcam, which is how it works with it. And I've found threads dating back a couple of years with OBS talking about that they're going to write that in. They're going to make that a plugin. And it still hasn't happened. So I don't know. I don't want to dog on OBS too hard though, because it's a really nice software for free.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and it's like I said, that's what I used. It wasn't until I made the decision that I wanted sort of branding for my channel when I was on the streams. And to be honest, ever since I put my logo down in the corner, honestly, it has helped out my subscriber count.
I brand everything.
Yeah, I recently had those T-shirts made.
There you go.
Yeah, for my channel, so I can use that in every video. And if I go to some event at some point, I will have those T-shirts with me. And I even made here a small, like a button hole that I put my mic through, so the cable will just go inside the shirt, so I don't have a cable coming from my neck. And
that is totally official right there.
And I had my mother-in-law sew the it's like a buttonhole.
Like a buttonhole, yeah.
Yeah, and she made those on 3 of those shirts I have, and then I have one that is just without the hole, but then I can easily hide the cable and I was thinking if I'm appearing at some place related to 3D printing, going to a fab lab or something, I would be wearing those T-shirts for branding. And
yeah, well, that's what I did for New York Maker Faire. I made Xander and I each a big stack of them, and that's pretty much what I wore the whole time that we were there. So,
yeah,
I mean, branding is important. It's huge. I mean, I honestly, I don't think that he and I would have been, well, he would probably be more recognizable than me, but I mean, people aren't necessarily going to recognize him and I, but with that blazing across my chest, and I have a shirt with it huge on the back too, you know, it helps. It absolutely helps.
Yeah, so. Especially when you're two together with the same logo on the shirts,
right?
People will recognize this is something that is going on. But if it's just one guy, they might think he might be promoting just some company or something.
Yeah, you're wearing a sport, you know, well, like Reebok shoes or Nike shoes or whatever. Yeah. You know, one person. But if you have a group of 10 all wearing the same shirt, and then you're somebody. So. Yeah. And if one of them's carrying a clipboard, boy, look out. But yeah, no, that's my branding. And then I am actually going to 3D print my Fun King and Fun King for this wall back here, which will be right above that shelf. Whoop.
Yeah. I want a STL of your king head and with a corona on top.
Yeah, I can send you that. So yeah. I mean, I've printed him a couple of times in half, like, you know, on my hot box.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's on the front. I made fan covers out of him for all the printers. Like even my Prusa has a yellow Fun King fan cover on it. So yeah, I like this little guy. He's been good to me. Oh, I just see that I typed into the chat and then never sent it.
Yeah. I had a smaller version of this model glued on top of the extruder motor. So the motor was moving around with the head, and it was just like this big. So
you got to put a rare earth magnet on the back and stick it to the motor shaft of the extruder motor so that it spins around. The extruder moves. Really, what you need to do to that thing is you need to print that thing life size and then cut it in half so you can wear it. Yeah. That would be completely creepy.
Yeah, like it would be like this model, the Minion start trooper Minion. Let's go. I'll try that.
You know, I just realized you said about the full size head print, and I did the first big print I did on the CR10 was the scan of my head. And I just realized that's still at my mom and dad's house because I took it over on Christmas Eve, took their Christmas tree topper off, and put my head on top of their tree.
Oh yeah, I seen the pictures of that on Facebook.
I just realized I don't have that. It must still be with it.
Yeah. Gusner just said in the chat to check out OBS Virtual Cam 1.21. So you guys might want to make note of that, and let's look into that. Gusner's good about sending me to all of these
the chat's been really helpful tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
Gusner's very helpful. He sends me a lot of links to different things like the ESP. I'm sorry, I'm braid fried, but you know, Arduino stuff and all the programming stuff. And I don't know if Gusner realizes, probably not, because I was a nobody back then. But I was always in the chat on Nillabean's channel, and he was always in there. That's how I know who Gusner is. But
speaking of Nillabean,
Nillabean,
2 weeks ago, I was working down in his area and got to stop in at his new shop.
Oh, dude, I'm jealous.
He's doing good. He did send his regards to the community and said that he is, now that things kind of settled down a little bit with opening the store, he is planning to make it onto one of the Friday night hangouts again.
I really hope he does. I really hope that he gets back around to making, you know, 3D printing videos and stuff. I mean, I learned a lot from Nillabean, and he was my biggest influence in getting going with all of this. I mean, I pretty much looked at what he did and then copied him, even to the point where I reached out to him and I'm like, what microphones are you using? And how far is your camera away from your table? And you know,
I tell you, that day I showed up on his stream.
that was so much fun.
In the area, and he gave me his address, and I met him at his house. I could not believe how small his setup was, because it looked humongous on camera. I mean, it looked huge.
But
no,
that was so funny. Him drilling the hole in the table to put the second microphone on.
Yeah, I remember. That was awesome. And yeah, but I really liked his videos, and he took his time to, when he was doing some projects on upgrades on the printers or whatever he was doing. It was a good series of videos he was making. So
he did say he misses it. He hasn't had the time because of the shop and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he did say he's going to get on one of the streams here.
I think, and I mean, he grew so fast. I mean, it blew my mind how fast he picked up subscribers. But I think that he was hoping that it was going to be a full-time thing for him, and I don't think it was producing. It's so hard to be a full-time YouTuber. Yeah. Like it's not what people think it is. You know, like you don't all of a sudden. I mean, my boss keeps saying to me, "Oh yeah, you're gonna leave us to be a full-time YouTuber, aren't you?" And I'm like, maybe when I hit 1 million subscribers, you know, like people just don't understand that the money's not there. So,
well, and with Nillabean too, I know he was doing a lot of eBay sales. That was basically his income. YouTube was just a small portion of what he was doing. And basically he took what he was doing with eBay and rolled it into a storefront.
Right, which is fantastic because eBay was screwing them.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, I wish I was, you know, and maybe someday I'll be in that area, but I would love to drop in on him. I mean, we haven't even met on here because he quit doing this right before we got on here. And, you know, like I've spoken with him in the chat and I've emailed with him a little bit and of course spoke with him in his streams and stuff, but it's that's not the same, and really I owe a lot to him too, because he's really what influenced me into even considering doing that. I would have never in a million years thought I would be a dude on YouTube. You know, like I was never gonna make YouTube video. I'm too old for this crap.
Well, yeah, I mean that's, you know, my channel's been slow to grow, which is fine with me. I'd rather not, you know, have the channel grow rapidly, but like I'm sitting just under 1,000 subscribers, dude. I'm still amazed at that, as much as I was the day I had 20 subscribers that weren't family.
No, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love Joel and I love what Joel did for me that Saturday morning when I woke up, and it was explosive. It was amazing, but I do look at it that I missed some things. You know, like I missed that 1,000 mark, and I missed that, you know, like I didn't get to hit all those milestones. And not that I want to go back, even though I'm working on it. I'm still dropping like 5 to 10 a day. It's still just trickling down. People are still leaving, and I got to admit, like I was at almost 5,500, and I was at like 54.90, and then the turnaround happened and it started to go the other way. And I'm like, all right, well, we won't go below 5,400. Oh, no. All right, we won't go below 4,250, and then it did. Oh, we won't go below 4,000. You know, and it's dwindling down, and it bothered me in the beginning, and then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that if people don't want to be here, if people don't want to watch what I'm doing, if people don't like me, because this is me, this isn't a fake me. Some of the early videos, that was a little bit fake. I tried to be really professional and serious and stuff and realized that was no fun. So, I mean, I'm really this goofy in real life. And so if people don't want to be here, I don't want them to be here. Like, I don't want to force them out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to.
I was going to say, you know, like, I mean, we have a lot of people that are fighting for that 1,000 subscriber mark, and I would love everybody, whether you want to be there or not, go and subscribe. You know, go support Matt, even if you hate Matt. You know, even if Matt snores really bad at nighttime.
Dude, my wife made me watch a snoring video right before the stream started because she's trying to get her point across. Thanks a lot. I'm definitely glad she's in bed right about now.
But you know, like, you can go and subscribe to a channel to help that channel grow, and don't click the notification button. And you might once in a while get a notification, but it's not really that bothersome. And if it's just the organization, and I don't know if Ron is still in the chat.
Nah, he ran a little while ago.
But there is, well, the other Ron, the Ron that sent me the dreadlocks. He's the brew it, do it, bake it, make it, bake it.
He might still be here.
Yeah,
we've got 3 Rons in the chat.
I know, it's too many Rons. So, but he had brought up a good point that you can get a plugin to organize your subscriptions. So do that. Go get the plugin and put the ones that you don't really want to see down at the bottom or whatever. But support the creators. And I'm not even talking about me. I don't care if you support me. Support these guys that need 1,000 subs. So
yeah,
I don't even know how I got it. It was just a rant.
I'm not even sure either.
It's really late. What time is it where you are, Martin? What time is it nice?
Yeah, it's 6:31.
Oh my gosh.
So I think this is the longest stream I've been at.
Usually it's already morning for you. You might as well just keep right on going.
Yeah, Saturday will be screwed up for me, I think.
So Mario said, I hear you, bro. I went from 3 subs to 50 plus. It feels so good when someone likes your video less than an hour after you load it. And I don't know if you guys know, but Mario had actually threw a comment in one of my videos that said, hey, will you go look at my time-lapse video? And I did. I went and watched it. And Mario makes these really sweet, smooth time lapses. And he only had 1 subscriber. And I thought, well, I'm going to subscribe to his channel so that I get notifications when he releases more of these time lapses. And then I told James at Print and Play about Mario. So James went and subscribed. So Mario had 3 subscribers. And I believe he told me the other one was his mom. And he can confirm that or deny it. I don't know. But and then when Mario was cool enough to get me this fantastic Robo printer from Robo, went to bat for me and convinced them to send me one. I had thrown in the video, hey, you know, Mario went out of his way to do this. Please go subscribe to Mario. And yeah, his channel, I think he's at like 53 now. So, and that was not even like a contest-based one. That's just a, hey, please go like Mario's stuff. And so his subscribers are solid. They weren't contest subs. So.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, you know, I'd rather my channel grow slowly like that. And I've sort of decided that, you know, I'm probably not going to try to do anything at 1,000 subscribers because I don't want that artificial growth. It's kind of like you said, Glenn. If they want to be here, they want to be here for my videos, great. I'm going to try to do what I can, like MakerBox, using my discount code for MakerBox. That's an affiliate link. If you want to support me, do that. If you want to support me use my Amazon affiliate link, because that's the only two affiliations that I have, really. But it's kind of one of those, you know what? The channel's going to grow slowly because I'm not doing contests, but I don't have to kind of deal with like what you guys are, where you've had this incredible growth and you're sort of seeing that downtake. And like you said, it's not necessarily bad, but at the same time too, I can imagine it's got to suck.
It hurts. It hurts. I did a 5K giveaway and now I'm under 5K, which means I get to do another 5K giveaway, but you know, like Chris Riley over at Chris's Basement, he's, and I don't know if that contest has ended yet or not, but he's doing or has done a contest recently, but it was, it's only for the people who are already subbed. Like he's not doing a hey, you have to sub to get into this contest. He's running a contest for people who are already with them. And so I had reached out to him. I said, I'm really curious to know how you're going to do this. How do you prove it? And he said, well, his plan is to draw the name and then contact the person and say, you need to turn your privacy settings so I can see your subscription date, and then he'll compare it. I forget the way that he said it, but it made sense to me. So, but that way you're rewarding, you know, you can still do a giveaway, but reward the people who got you to the 1,000, not all this fake. And, you know, I got on the hype. There's no question. I got on the hype train, and, you know, I always laugh at the hot tip channel, you know, his fun account, and, about the, you know, got to get another GearBest affiliate code out there, and you know, but I got on the train and I didn't want to lose that momentum when Joel's contest ended, so I made my contest start right before Joel's ended, which carried it a little bit longer.
Right.
But it's
and it also, like, for you guys, it kind of gave you a footing too. If you wanted to do more, like going to Matter Hackers to do a giveaway and stuff like that, it kind of like, you know, look, I have a channel with 5,000 subscribers. The person you may be going to may not realize that you may only have 5,000 subscribers while you run your contest, and then it might be dropping off because you just rode a wave. It kind of gave you like a footing. I know you were, for a while there, you were trying to get GearBest affiliate.
Which is they kept writing back to me telling me that I wasn't a good fit for their program. And at 3,500 subscribers, they wrote to me and said, the email said, honestly, we looked at your videos and we like your style. And I thought that's funny because that's the same style I had 2 days ago when I was at 350.
But that's what I mean. So like it gave you your footing to be able to do more that you guys want to do. Honestly, it would be cool if somebody sent me a printer. I'd be thrilled if I got a printer that I didn't have to pay for. But I don't really care.
Well, it's
like, you know what I mean.
We're letting all the secrets out to the whole world, but you know, I don't hide anything anyway. But you know, it when GearBest finally said, I mean, the email straight up said, we want to send you gifts, and I thought, sweet, I love free stuff. I will never deny that. I love free stuff, and so you know, they wanted to send me the E12, but it wasn't available yet, and it was taking a long time, and they said, oh, well, you know, it took so long, and I'm not going to tell you what other printer because that's coming up. It's a secret. But they said, we're going to send you this other printer in the meantime, which is still sitting over here in a box. Never in a million years did I think that here I would be sitting around with a brand new printer in a box. I haven't even taken it out yet because I haven't had the time. But that printer and the E12 showed up on the same day. So they sent me one to make up for the fact that that one took so long, but they shipped that one the same day. So, and then, you know, Mario getting me the Robo, I would have never expected that in a million years. And I'm super, super thankful because that is an amazing piece of equipment. I don't know if you've had the chance to ever put your hands on one of those, but it is a sweet piece of equipment. So, you know, yes, it is fun to get free stuff, but you are also, you're bought.
Right.
You know, I mean, I will never do a fake review. I want that to be completely known. If this thing, I've already had problems with this, and that'll be coming out in the future. I've had problems with it. It's not a great printer. I would buy a Creality in a heartbeat over this thing as of right now. But you feel like you can't say something bad about the company, but I mean, I don't have anything against GearBest. GearBest gave it to me, not ANET. But you know, it's like you're owned. You're bought and paid for.
Well, and yeah, and it's one of those, you know, we've seen it in the past. It doesn't matter what kind of review you get, you're going to get criticism. Once you start getting printers, it doesn't matter if you give a printer a glowing review or like, look at what happened to Preston over at Press Reset. That was the
TiVo.
Was that the Tarantula?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, it was either the Tarantula or the Black Widow. I know the Black Widow he had problems with. And that may have been the point where he said enough with TiVo. But you had that printer, and he gave it the review that, honestly, if it was the Tarantula, which I'm thinking it might have been, I have a Tarantula sitting here that I would not disagree with anything that he said. And he got absolutely hammered for it, for giving.
Oh, yeah, he took a lot of heat for that video.
He took a lot of heat for that video. But at the same time, if you say something good about a printer, guess what? You're going to get that same heat. That's why personally, I've recorded review videos for two printers that I bought out of my own pocket, and I never published them.
Well, see, that's why I won't do a review. I'll do a review on filament, but I won't do a review on a printer. I won't necessarily ever say, yes, you absolutely need to buy one of these, it's great, or no, don't buy one of these because it's complete and utter trash, because everybody's mentality is different, everybody's needs are different. I like to do mine as progress reports. So, yeah. You know, this is where I am with it. This is what it's done for me. This is how I feel about it. And I mean, we've had this conversation in the past too, because if I release a video and I say the ANET A8 is really a great printer and you should have one, and then a year later they're still selling them, but they've changed their quality control and now it's junk. And that video is still out there.
Yep.
And your word saying it was great is still out there. So
I look at it this way. Rather than reviews, what I pay attention to, because I try to keep up with however many YouTubers there are now, YouTube channels there are about 3D printing, even the ones that aren't fully 3D printing. I keep up with them, and the same thing goes for any of the maker channels too. What I put my faith in is how frequently I hear about a printer. So, like the CR10, it's been around for what, going on 9 months, something like that, since the first CR10 came out. Since you started seeing it on Uncle Jesse's channel, I think Preston was the first one to really review one.
Was it even that long? I don't even know if it's been that long.
It may not have been that long. It may have been about 6 months. First person I think to review it that I followed, at least, was Preston. I'm pretty sure he was the first one. Then Uncle Jesse got one. Then Joel got one, and it started snowballing. The thing that really stuck with me wasn't the fact that I saw all these reviews and they were all glowing reviews. It was the fact that Joel still uses that printer to this day to print stuff. Uncle Jesse uses how many CR10 variants to this day to do most everything he does.
Well, and the size of the Facebook support group is huge. And I mean, you don't go in there and everybody's like, this thing is such junk. I hate this. How do I fix this? What's wrong with this? It's everybody talking about how great that printer is.
Right. And that to me is the review of that printer. The fact that, yes, Joel may have given his opinion of it. Uncle Jesse may have given his opinion. Preston may have given his opinion. However, it doesn't matter how many YouTubers gave me their opinion. It's the fact that there are channels that are being built on that printer, and there are channels that have been built that have over 100,000 subscribers, and they're still talking about the CR10. That's what really matters most. The fact that I still hear about that printer. Joel's had the TiVo Little Monster. I've heard about that maybe 2 or 3 times on his channel since he got it and put it together. And that's it. You don't hear much about it. So, you know what? That printer is going to stick less in my mind than the CR10 would. And I'd buy another CR10 in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I love this thing.
Even with the E12, I want a CR10. And you know, let's just keep this between you and me. We won't tell anybody else. But when ANET designed that printer, I guarantee there was a CR10 in the room.
Oh yeah, it looks identical to it.
Yeah, and then what they did was, like, instead of using the 20 by 40 extrusion for the hoop, it's 20 by 20. Same with the X-axis. That's a 20 by 20. So they trimmed corners where they could, and then I mean even down to the hot end looks like an almost straight up ripoff of the CR10. And I don't have a CR10 to compare it to. If anybody wants to send me one, no, I'm just kidding. It's actually what I asked. It's what I asked GearBest for first, but they're like, "Oh, that printer already sells well. Let us send you this one. You know, it's brand new." So I was excited because I do love my ANET A8. I mean, yes, I've had to do a lot of work on it, and it's not functioning now because of the upgrades. But I was intrigued. I thought, yeah, but in fairness, I hate Bowden setup. I hate Bowden printers. I don't know. Everything should just be direct drive to me. So, and I've had extrusion skipping on that. I took the control box apart tonight, and like the power wires, every wire in there had crimp connectors on it, except for the power wires to the main board. Yeah. They were just stripped with a little solder on them and stuck under the screws. You know, which is a total no-no.
Yeah, you don't. If you're using screw terminals, you don't solder the wires.
No, because it'll change shape depending on the heat. But you know, so they cheaped out on it to make it about $40 less than a CR10. So again, this is just between you and me and nobody else. Nobody else is watching this right now. Yeah, if you were going to go out and buy one, go and buy a CR10. You know, but first reach out to me and ask me for my GearBest affiliate link.
If you order it from Printed Solid, not that I get anything for it, but tell them I sent you.
Yeah,
I would really actually recommend, and I bought my CR10 with my money.
Yeah.
From Printed Solid, and I'll tell you what, not that I couldn't handle some of the issues that I've heard about. I mean, you know, if I got a warped bed that it's not flat, so be it. I can fix that.
But why should you have to?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the investment with Printed Solid was worth it. And again, I'm not affiliated with them. Besides, honestly, it's a company that I support that I want to see continue.
Absolutely. It's where I buy all my Hatchbox from now. So I was buying it at Amazon. It's the same price, sometimes even cheaper to get it through Printed Solid. And you know, I mean, I have their coffee mug, and I jokingly had it in a lot of videos drinking from my Printed Solid, but I have no affiliate with them either. I don't even know if they offer an affiliate.
I know Joel has affiliate, but I think he's like one of the few.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm not sure if that's a still good affiliate or not, but
yeah, well, just like Matter Hackers, I don't have a Matter Hackers affiliate. I know a few people do, but I'll still send people to those. Yeah, those guys are awesome. You know.
Yeah. Their involvement, both Printed Solid and Matter Hackers, with the community is what really makes me want to see them succeed. And to be fully honest, the only time I've ordered from Matter Hackers was Black Friday, or their Blue Friday or Blue Thursday or whatever they called it. That's the only time I've ordered from Matter Hackers. Not that there's any reason for that. They just had a good price on something and I got it. But between those two companies, I mean, you're going to continue to hear me say about the CR10 and buying it from Printed Solid.
Well, and you know, and if the people out there have an issue with Printed Solid, there's what's the other one? Tiny Machines.
Tiny Machines, yeah.
Yeah. So they do the same thing. Well, I say the same, but they offer a service that's similar. I don't know if it's exactly the same thing, but
CR10 essentially.
They bring them in. They make sure that they're good to go before you get them. They make sure that they're on the latest firmware, that the Decapicat's not on the SD card, and for some reason Tony Ryan's picking on me. He says quote unquote Fund King 3D.
Wow, you're way back in the chat, aren't you?
What's that?
You're way back in the chat, aren't you?
No. I think he said it before, but he just said it again. But
did he say it again? Okay.
Because you're on YouTube's and fun to pick on. Well, that's fair enough. I have a good attitude and I can take it. I'm not thin-skinned, but no, I don't want anybody to ever think that this is just about getting free stuff. Though I love free stuff, and I will always I will always feel, not that I have to, but I'll always have a warm spot in my heart for AIO robotics, because I didn't even have 250 subscribers yet, and I reached out to them and I said, "Hey, would you be interested in in sponsoring a drive to 250 giveaway?" And so I'm thinking, okay, they'll give me a couple rolls of filament maybe, and they gave me 12.
Yeah.
And in fact, Justin in the chat, just in 3D is what he is in the chat. He was my second place winner, so we gave away 5, 4, and 3 rolls. Is that right? Yeah, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I had to count my fingers. It's really, really late. But I was blown away. Like, they wrote me back, and I say they. It's always been Jen's over there. He's the CEO. I have personal conversations with the CEO of AIO Robotics, and that blows me away too. That there's, like Joseph Prusa will be in the chat and just, he'll pop in and be like, "Oh, well, you need to adjust this on your printer to fix it." You just don't see that anywhere else. But
Right.
But I will always have a warm spot for AIO because they were there with me when I was nobody, and now that I'm somebody big, because I'm big on the YouTubes, and that's why I didn't hesitate to reach out, and it was fun. I know I've said this a million times on a lot of different videos and stuff, but it was really fun when I reached out to him. I'm like, "Hey, you want to sponsor my 250 subscriber giveaway?" And then like 2 months later, I'm like, "Hey, you want to sponsor my 5,000 subscriber giveaway?" It was like, it was just this explosive growth. But no, and again, that's not why I use their filament. I used their filament before. I like it. So, but I will always push it. I should have an AIO sign behind me. I mean, I just feel that I owe them that much. So,
not to cut things short, but I'm gonna get running anyhow. So on Twitch,
did you just really say you hate to cut this short? We've been on here for 4 hours.
This is still one of the shorter streams, though. One of the longer recent ones, but shorter. I remember sitting up till 5 o'clock in the morning on these streams already.
And I've done this whole thing with a migraine headache.
Yeah, you did pretty good. So, Glenn, if you'd allow me to maybe hijack your channel for a minute.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime.
So on Twitch, when they end a stream, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll raid somebody else's stream.
Yes, I'm familiar with this because of Rennie, Renaissance Tinker.
Can we do that tonight?
What's that?
Can we do that tonight? We've got 30 people watching.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it from here, but you just tell me what to do.
Okay, so let's do it to Jimmy Shaw. He just started streaming 12 minutes ago.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is in the chat on our stream here, I'm going to post the link to Jimmy's video.
Okay.
His stream. And Glenn, I'll let you do what you want to wrap it up. Everybody go over there and what can we say? What can we say when everybody gets into the chat over there?
All right, first, real quick, Tony Ryan says AIO needs bigger spools, and I agree with you. Reach out to them and tell them you can get red, black, white, and blue in 1 kilo rolls on Amazon right now. So, but yes, reach out to Amazon or to AIO and tell them that. All right, so we need some kind of like
oops. You know what?
Yeah.
Kill the rabbit.
Minions attack.
I'm a dummy. I accidentally posted the link to his stream in his stream. Hang on.
Yeah. So
the problem is, I had my little laptop sitting over here. Whoop.
Accidentally posted the link to his stream in his stream.
Yeah.
There we go.
Rate from.
This is what we get for doing crap at 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, or 7 o'clock in the morning Iceland time.
Yeah, it's almost 7. Rate from 3D.
Yeah, but then they know where we're coming from.
That's
we
okay.
don't want them to know, right?
Yeah, they're allowed to know where we're coming from.
All right, so then that's it. But don't do it in all caps because he could have.
Yeah, don't do the F3D PCH in caps, and then
just do. I'm gonna put it in.
Yeah, you put it in on everybody. Copy what Glenn.
But it's F3D PCH, right?
Yep.
All right, so do it like that. That way it doesn't get picked up by any type of spam filter.
Yeah.
All right, when do we go? Like we count down 3, 2, 1, and then go?
Yeah. Everybody go over there. Glenn will give them a minute to get over, and then Glenn will post it first, and then everybody else post the same thing then. Okay? We'll let Glenn kick it off.
Oh, that opened in my chat window, but that's okay. Oh, I have a commercial. I have to watch a commercial first.
You don't have YouTube Red? Oh, they're already over there doing it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into the chat here.
He's picking it up.
Hey, CQ3D, you're getting ready to get flooded. Good evening, people. Actually, good morning. It's almost 2 a.m. Wow. It's 10:54 here right now. Rover, thank you very much for joining. I don't think there's anything yet on that. That's we need to talk to Turkins and have them put it up.
We made Jimmy speechless.
What's this rig from F3D?
I can't. I'm not a mod over there. I can't post a link back, or I would post a link from our feed over to his feed.
I have no idea what that means.
Seriously, Jimmy.
$7:55 a.m. there. Wow.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, where are you at? 3D Gunser. Gunser? How do I do it? Thank you for joining. Fun King, thank you.
Yeah, for anybody who's still watching us,
I did shame him for not. I don't think he followed me.
Yeah, man. It still blows my mind whenever I do live streams of where all different people view this from. It just is amazing.
This is the first time I've caught one of Jimmy's streams in a long
every time I
time.
start thinking about it.
Well, I mean, it's at 2 o'clock in the morning our time.
Yeah. Yeah, which he's not that far off. I mean, he's what, Pacific Coast.
F3DPHC. Please, somebody tell me what that means.
That's so funny because I hear it before I hear it from you, Matt. So there's like a delay,
yeah,
but then there's a delay and a delay.
Yeah, it's like a.
Oh, that's too funny. That was fun.
Distractions.
I'm glad we did that. All right, guys. Now that we distracted Jimmy from his stream, I'm gonna.
Yeah, he's probably like right smack in the middle of a thought.
He probably was.
I don't know. We still have 25 watching. So real quick, I want to say to everybody that's in the chat, I love you guys. You absolutely, you make this worth doing. So you guys keep it up. You guys keep being you, and I love you guys. That's all there is to it. So well, and I love you guys too. So
yeah, excellent stream.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Yeah, anytime. It's fun, and I gotta admit it was a little bit selfish on my part. I really wanted the watch time. So,
hey,
but
you know what? That is the benefit to these streams.
So I still got your channel running over here too, Matt. So I don't know how far off you are of the 240,000 minutes, which is ridiculous, but
I have 1,400 hours yet that I need.
Wow, yeah.
Hours.
This is just killing us. But we'll. I mean, the supporters are doing it too. They're running the loops, and we'll all get there. We'll all get there sometime. So.
Oh yeah. And you know what? I mean, it kind of goes back to that again. If I don't, I don't.
No, that's it. I mean, it's
eventually we will get there. So
right. It's a nice thing to have, but it's not the end of the world. At first, I was really mad, and I'm like, oh, it's not even worth doing anymore. And then I did my live stream, and all these people showed up and just made my life exciting again. And so yeah, absolutely. So, but I'm tired now, and I have to go find my bed. And hope there's not a kid sleeping in it.
Yeah, did you see Barnacle's video on the YouTube change? He did a pretty good video on how this.
Yeah, I don't know if I ended up watching his or not. I had watched a couple other big YouTubers, and I got tired of them saying, "Oh, well, you were only making $20 a month. What do you care?" Because even $20 a month to me means something. So.
Yeah, the point that Barnacles was pointing out, there was a lot of like click farms.
I fully understand why YouTube did it, and good for them, but you know, they couldn't have come up with a better verification way of figuring out that, you know, we're legit. You know,
Right.
like, I mean, I know that's resources and it's all about the advertisers, but yeah.
All right, guys. Glenn, just so you know, we are still live. So
yeah, good timing. The Nightbot just popped up and told everybody to check the description for the links in the descriptions. And so, but all right, yeah, no, I haven't clicked the button yet, so I'm going to go ahead and say once again good night to everybody in the chat, and then I'll knock us offline. And I do love you guys. Keep it up. Please be safe out there. And even without Xander, as always, print on.
see you, everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah.